All right, y'all. What is up? Turn down my volume in the house real quick. Want to make sure we got good audio going for the stream. All right. We got Super in the house. Welcome, welcome. And we got ASAP B Boy. What's happening? Welcome to the stage. Appreciate you holding it down while I was getting set up. So, welcome, y'all. This is Horizon Live. I am Oculus 410. Apologize for the delay, but I'm glad that y'all are here tonight. We're going to have another special guest that's going to be a surprise. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Basically, every week we host this talk show, which is basically for y'all. We have the open mic right here if y'all have questions. But most importantly, we want to make sure that y'all are getting the content that y'all are looking for. So if you have a question, please come up to the mic, ask your question. If you have a question that you want to ask me or the guest up on the stage, definitely come on up. Or if you just have a topic that you want to talk about, obviously come on up and ask it. But we'll try to find some things that are interesting that I don't know where ASAP B Boy's going, but if you wanted to exit, you just hop back behind the curtains and there's an exit and you can join everybody up on the audience. Let's see. Does it work? It does. Sometime halfway through the show, this doesn't work anymore, so we'll keep that stage locked. But welcome, y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. It's good to see some familiar faces. We got some new faces. But every Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Wow, my words are all messed up. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. We're here every single Sunday. So make sure that you check your 10 tab, check on your wrist, or you can go into your worlds under the events section. And then, of course, you can check it out there. So appreciate y'all being here. I don't know if y'all noticed. I've got my Metapop here by Sadie Chan. If you don't know who Sadie Chan is, go ahead and check Sadie Chan out on Instagram. Get yourself a Metapop if you don't have one yet. Definitely worth every penny. I mean, I love exactly how this looks, so couldn't be happier. And of course, you get a custom name underneath of your name, so I had to put community first. Since y'all already know, I'm all about the community. I'm here to do what I can to elevate other creators, help people out in the community who are looking for resources, trying to find whatever it is that you're looking for, and of course, try to be of service, try to help. Um, so super. Welcome back. It's been stepped outside of the global. Super, welcome back. Appreciate the stream being back. I know with football that you've been a little occupied, so appreciate you coming back. Make sure whoever's watching on the super stream, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, follow. I think you got some stars now, so you can give them some stars. So do all of that. And if you're joining us on the Vidyuu Nights channel, make sure that you're leaving your comments down in the comments section. That way we can answer any of your questions, or if you have any comments for the conversation that's going on. So, this week has been an interesting week. I don't know if y'all had a chance to take a look at the Discord, but out on Discord, there is a lot of conversation going on about a lot of new custom meshes that are in our asset library. If you haven't had a chance yet, take a look. There's a whole library full. I mean, more than the original library, just in updated meshes that are in there. So, make sure you check them out. There's already people pulling them apart, coloring them all the same color and creating their own blank worlds full of library of just broken apart meshes to make their own unique objects. So if you haven't yet, just go ahead and look in the community group or look in Discord. People are offering those for free. I mean, that's the greatest part about this community. Everybody's trying to help each other out. But those meshes are available for free. If you don't feel like breaking them all apart, you can just import that entire world into your own blank world. But aside from those meshes, also we've got a couple of bugs that I'm sure that y'all are probably all too tired of, but worth mentioning. If you're gonna have a closed session right now, people can join on that closed session. So H. Briner was just loading into a closed session as I was hopping in here. So I heard just the tail end of him letting me know people were in here, but also I had a message letting me know as well. So appreciate y'all being patient. So if you're starting a closed session, especially for an unpublished world, just be cautious because people can join on that right now. Aside from that, we've got audio issues right now. If you're in a world heavily populated, if you have your volume all the way up, it's echoing right now. So just be cautious if you hear an echo. Just click on your headset a couple of notches on your volume, and that'll fix that. That's the good news. That's a lot of these bugs. They are at least easily fixable, but unfortunately, we have to wait on Meta to get the rest of them. So keep using user voice. Can't stress enough. User voice is an amazing tool. They're able to see the issue if you post pictures and videos, and they can go in there and they can watch exactly what it is that's happening, and then they can go and try and fix it. I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? We want these bugs fixed. We want things to go back to a nice, stable platform. And so each time you put in those user voice bugs, more information gets to Meta and they're able to work on it, get it fixed, and push it out in the next update. So we want to make sure that we're helping them out, but also just be wary of the bugs that are out there. And, as you're working around them, things will be fixed. Let's see. So aside from the meshes and the bugs, we also had for a day, if you looked at your friends list, it showed everybody's Facebook profile picture. I imagine that that wasn't meant to be because today it's back. You get to see everybody's avatars. But for all of Saturday, I'm pretty sure you could see everybody's personal Facebook pictures. So a lot of things are changing. Meta account, we had an announcement in the Discord plus on the Horizon Worlds page letting people know to make sure that you convert to your Meta account. Today is kind of the last day, I think. Maybe it was the end of the month, but they did send another reminder last night to convert over to a Meta account if you haven't yet. Everybody on a Meta account at this point. I mean, I did it day one just to get it out of the way. Yeah, we got pretty much everybody in here is already on a Meta account. How many of y'all migrated your Facebook with your Meta account? I know the whole point was to use a Meta account without a Facebook if you wanted. If you wanted to use your Facebook, you could. It was kind of a way to separate your Facebook account away from the Meta account, but I don't know that it helped any. A lot of people that didn't migrate to a Meta account from Facebook changed their name. I think some people had to where they lost their original name and it went back to a default name that was set to their profile prior to. Some people it was a different profile altogether. So the fix of that, people were just connecting their Facebook and everything was coming back the way it's supposed to. So I don't know if there's a benefit yet to moving to just a Meta account, but from what it looked like it's best to just go ahead and just convert to your Meta account and bring your Facebook info over. But the good news is everything is there. All of your pages, all of your Facebook, your Instagram. So everything is all in one spot now. So that's the part that I like about it. So that's the benefit of just having everything in one place. It was really easy. But if you use workrooms, I don't know how many people use workrooms. That was actually an added bonus. So now that I've already got a Meta account, all I went and did was go into workrooms. It asked me what account I wanted to migrate, and I literally selected all of the ones that I had set up because I had to choose a different one for every time I wanted to join somebody's workroom. And it just combined all of them. So now I have one workroom account. It's under my Meta account, and it's really easy to log in. So they got that right. Props to Meta for that. If you haven't used workrooms yet, check it out. Download it on your headset, set up your own workspace, verify your email, and then start inviting people. And you actually are in Avatar. You've got hand tracking. You can use the bottom of your controller as kind of a marker on your whiteboard, or you can use a keyboard if you have either a MacBook or you have one of those Logitech Bluetooth keyboards. So all of that in workrooms makes it really easy for you to just put your controllers down. You can talk, you can host meetings, you can connect with Zoom. So there's a lot of benefit there. If you want to start bringing work into the metaverse, you can use workrooms for that. Now, I don't know if y'all saw last October during Facebook Connect, but Facebook Connect last October, they really had like this extreme look forward where they were looking at we're going to have a chance to have these really lightweight glasses and we're going to be walking down the street and we'll be able to see things come alive and we can either pay to see more of it or we can sit at home and we can join a concert and basically not have to leave our couch. And through all of the things that they were talking about, one of the things that I thought was interesting is that we had Horizon Worlds, we had Horizon Venues, and we have Horizon Workrooms. And I said that all they really need to do is integrate those three and put them into your headset when you first boot it up. And it makes things much more immersive. You don't have to keep opening different apps in order to be able to go where you want. You basically would just turn on your headset and you're already here. And that was kind of what they showed at Connect last year. So venues is now a part of Worlds, as you know, and workrooms they haven't announced anything yet. But imagine that after leaving here, I could host maybe like a boardroom meeting with all the people at Vidyuu, and rather than going into Discord or having to go into another world that didn't have any functionality that I didn't pre-build with scripting, I could literally open up my workrooms from here and then invite everybody in as if it was a world. So it would already have the conference table that I could customize. It would have the whiteboard. We could have pictures imported. We could have logos, pretty much everything that we would need. And we would literally just hop to that as a world instead of it being separate as workrooms. I don't know. Maybe on October 11th they announce it, and everybody's going to think I have inside information. That's definitely not the case. I'm hoping that they don't announce it, but they just do it. But I really think that that's kind of the next step is bringing workrooms into Horizon, and then those three products are now one. And then this weird, awkward starting space, which is the Meta Horizon home, that just going away and it becoming your home space for Horizon. I don't know if it's something that if they do that, maybe it's some kind of antitrust or anti-competition because now you're basically forced to go into Horizon as your very first step and you don't see your other apps on your headset. Maybe that's something new with the new headset. I don't know. But I imagine that all of the apps that are out there, whether it's App Lab or if it's something that you bought, they're definitely going to want to have a home space that's neutral, kind of like where Windows had to have options for your browsers. Everything was Internet Explorer baked into it when you bought it, so they had to give you options when you started with Windows, I think 8.1 or Windows 10. And it's one of those things that you have to be able to provide options and alternatives than you're just in baked in products. So I'm wondering how Facebook's going to approach that if they really want to get to this immersive experience the second you put the headset on. So I'm curious if anybody else wants to come up on stage and talk a little bit about what they think's going on for Connect 2023, because I would love to hear some more feedback of what other people are expecting to hear or what they're hoping to hear, whether it's the headset, whether it's the new version of our Oculus version, I guess 45 comes after our current 44, which is rolling out. But I really want to see if anybody wants to talk about what's going to happen at Connect, hardware, things that are probably coming, maybe around the corner, or something that's really far out. Anybody at all? Anybody at all? Feel free. Nobody. All right, no worries. I'll keep rambling about it. Um, but the biggest thing that I want to see, obviously, that everybody else has on their mind, they've been talking about Cambria for the last year. Cambria is that developer headset that is supposed to not be a consumer device. It's supposed to be priced well outside of consumer reach. The point of it is to work on this development behind the scenes, to be able to develop these tools for the future of the metaverse. And somehow Cambria kind of blurred with this Quest Pro that's coming out. And for some reason, there's no more talk about Cambria, and there's all this hype about the Quest Pro. And the Quest Pro obviously isn't going to be another $400 device. So I don't know if maybe Meta changed their mind on is Cambria going to be its own separate device from the consumer? Is it going to be kind of a hybrid of both? Or are we going to have two different headsets that are going to be coming out, the Quest Pro and whatever the Cambria is? I'm not sure what to think because it's been Cambria hype all the way up until that leak that was last month. And with that leak, all we heard was Quest Pro, and it looked like a consumer device. So, as far as I know, I don't know if Cambria turned into Quest Pro, and that's going to be just an obnoxiously expensive product. But I think I'm all in. I'm all in. I just want to buy it if that's going to be the next device, if it's going to be readily available. Dimster, if you want to join me up on stage, please feel free. Come on up. But I'm ready to hear more about what's going to actually be the device that shows up for I don't know if Mike has a question or his arm stretched out. And I need a new script because this does not let me bring people up on stage. Dimster,
No
it
worries,
says you're not even here. You snuck in
because
under
I'm
the
not.
radar.
I'm not here. I'm a figment of your
Dimster,
imagination.
pay no attention. So,
Uh,
talk to me. What do you think, man?
I thought, didn't they confirm that Cambria was pro, and he dropped that in like a Rogan interview recently?
So that Rogan interview, I've heard quite a few things. The headset being announced at Connect was kind of the big news. I think everything else was filled in the blanks with all of the YouTube videos that came out after Joe Rogan Experience podcast with Zuck. So I didn't hear any sound bites from that. I didn't watch the entire thing, admittedly, but the sound bites that I
Yeah.
heard were there's already hangout spaces like the Soapstone. There's the headset that's going to be announced at Connect, and it was a little bit about just VR and AR in general. I mean, what did you hear from your perspective?
I'm the exact same way. I didn't actually go watch that interview either. A lot of it was just YouTube videos onslaught saying they announced it. It's now this, and everyone had the same opinion. This is gonna be Quest Pro, and it's called Quest Pro. So yeah,
Yeah, so
my
that's my
assumption is
biggest
that that's
concern.
what it's going to be, but it's going to be that since they upped the price of the Quest 2, that's going to be one of those like really expensive kind of upgrades. It's going to be like 800 to a grand probably.
Yeah, I guess that's my biggest concern is that if it's going to be a $1,500 device, let's say, and it doesn't allow any additional capacity or any additional building tools or anything in Horizon,
Mm,
is it worth even buying if we're not going to get anything from it? Because they're not going to alienate, the millions of people that have Quest 2 headsets right now. Imagine if they sold 100,000 of these Meta Quest Pros. So it's 100,000 people. And then how many of those people are going to be actually playing Horizon Worlds? So if you made it to where now, like when they retired the Quest 1, you couldn't get into Horizon Worlds any longer
mm,
if you had Quest 1 after this certain date. Imagine 2, 3 million people no longer able to access Horizon Worlds because the $1,500 device, so, my prediction,
yeah.
is the only way to get in. I
Oh,
don't think they
agreed.
would go that route. What do you think?
I think it's going to be very similar to what game developers do. They have like basically dev kits you have to purchase since they're trying to push the entire this is the pro version for like office needs and stuff like that. This
Hmm.
makes a lot more sense for that space where it's meant for like more robust work in here if you do large scale kind of editing. I think that's kind of where their market space is for it for me.
So when you say like pro editing type, you're talking about the people who like work on the product, not the builders in here, the everyday users, but the people who are working on this as the
Yeah.
developers for Meta.
I don't think it's a Horizon specific product because the entire thing is designed with a plethora of new sensors and stuff like that. So I think what they're doing is setting themselves up for the next phase of VR, which is going to come out, but they can't obviously mass produce them yet, but they need people to build the content for it. So this is the stepping stone towards that in my mind.
Yeah, I know that I've been kind of talking to people about that picture that Zuckerberg shared, the future of Horizon or what's currently capable. And it was a picture of his avatar, and then it was like this cobblestone marketplace, and people were blown away. They were like, "Oh wow, that's what we need. Those are the textures, those are the
Yeah.
shapes. Look at that. There's no primitives. It's as if everything was built outside of Horizon." And a lot of people were worried that their worlds were going to become completely irrelevant. Because imagine you're just starting out building. Maybe you built this
Mm.
and you brought in an asset and you're like, okay, it's good enough. But now a month from now, everyone's custom building their own worlds out of, Blender or something external. That would just be detrimental to most people to think I need to learn a third party or, whatever it's going to be for the future of Horizon. And you actually just are continuous building with these primitives. So I've been telling people it's kind of like when you buy a house and you want to remodel it. You don't just swipe a brush and all of a sudden you now have a garage and you have a deck and you have a pool and you've got a fence. It's slow progression. So
Yeah.
they're going to keep releasing more meshes, and then we're going to keep building on top of our worlds, and hopefully it saves us some capacity. But I feel as though we'll all be able to get to that point with what the people at Meta are putting in the asset library. I mean, what do you think about how we're going to build in just the next 6 months?
Actually, it's a really good question because there is this entire looming perspective of Roblox coming into the Oculus environment as well. And that all of a sudden becomes this whole other realm of a mass amount of people coming in with external third party abilities to create worlds. So will it change the landscape, or will Horizon still be like the everyman's kind of way of getting in and experiencing it? I think it's going to be 100% a distinction of what people are trying to get out of it, because in Horizon primitives are simple and they're easy and there allows everyone to edit, but in something like Roblox you get a whole other slew of things where you can do a lot more complicated stuff, but then you have the onslaught of the mass amount of children coming running in and shooting everything up. It's a completely different perspective of the gaming. So I think this environment is still going to be relevant, but it's still funny because like just today I was with some friends and we were just surfing some old builds that he had made and just walking through some of those old builds and just talking about how much things have improved or changed in that short time period, like months apart, and
I
what
know,
you can do
right?
more now. It's quite significant. Like the introduction of meshes is just huge in the aspect of custom content in here. So I feel like there's going to be, again, another 6 months is going to be completely different again for us. I think we'll have to see where that takes us and what they're willing to, like, who knows what they're doing in the background for us. They could probably do a lot more that we just don't know about. And they're just choosing not to distribute it yet because they want to make certain it's available for the mass. They want to make certain that
Do
everyone can
you
actually utilize it.
do you have any experience creating in any 3D modeling? I mean, I don't have any personally, but I mean, I came in here without any experience with the primitives, and I was able to start building. But the external, the PC based modeling software, it's another level. I don't know if I
It is. I have added the benefit of being in agency work before where they were doing custom game development, so I've been exposed to it,
mhm.
but I've never been the 3D artist. I've been more the person managing those 3D artists before. So
uh
I've been
so
exposed
hey,
to the world, just not necessarily doing it. But honestly,
so
it's a
hey,
matter
Meta,
of
if
how
you're
you
looking
think
for a
about.
manager of the of the 3D modelers, we got a manager.
But it's all about your perspective though. Like I have a creative background by nature, so coming in here and thinking about things just creatively makes a big difference as well. So, but
Well, if you could
I
help
think
me
everyone
with
can do what
this,
they want. Mm.
you don't exist.
I
So
don't
many people
exist.
have come in.
Watch, none of this has been. You've been talking to yourself the entire time on stage. I haven't been here.
This is the movie Ghost with Dimpster. It's not even a show. I'm just talking to a
If the
ghost.
music starts playing, I'm leaving. I'm sorry, man.
Oh no, I really do hope that a lot of people do take some kind of comfort in the fact that it's not going to happen overnight. All of these changes that are coming, these are good changes. With any product, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have change. And in this case, having these meshes coming in, which that one tree right there is pretty expensive, but I figured I would throw it in here since I don't have anything really heavily scripted or heavily use of geo. So I really just wanted to kind of throw something else in here. I mean, as you can tell, everything else is pretty basic, just a bunch of stretched out shapes. But I mean, that was kind of the point of this space, just to kind of have 20 at the time, now 32 people. ASAP B boy, what's up? Talk to me.
Hey, I've seen the Rogan podcast leak,
Oh, perfect.
and yeah, another good YouTube video with Mark
Hello, guys.
Zuckerberg
I'm here.
is that Gary V.
Get in.
Gary V. Have you guys seen
Mm-hmm.
the Gary V. interview?
I have not.
Yeah, Gary V. and Zuck. They talked about like the metaverse and the future of like Web 3. They were pretty much talking about like Web 2.5
Mm-hmm.
and Web 3.5, right? Web 3, like what is Web 3 to you? Like what is that?
It's interesting because a lot of people, when you ask what's Web 3, the first thing they'll say is it's crypto, it's NFTs, it's the metaverse. But it's definitely just the next level beyond the internet. It's that decentralized network of all the things that are coming from the future. I mean, it's not even here yet, and people talking about building Web 4.0. At this point, people are just using it as buzzwords, and I think people really do need to take the time and really start to understand, because when it does become part of the everyday, I mean, every business out there that's not looking at Web 3.0, they're not even considering what the opportunities are in the future because it's so new. Right now, they're just focused on making sure they have websites, making sure they have social media presence, and making sure that they're marketing to their appropriate audiences. And that's kind of the limitation of Web3 right now is that it's same thing when crypto became mainstream. Everybody wanted to find not only an opportunity to get rich by just picking all of these I call them trash coins, but it was more of
Yeah,
the scams
trash
that came with it.
trash coins, right?
Yeah, trash coins. I don't actually say trash; it's another word, but trash coin.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
so when NFTs came, I was like, "Oh, NFTs! This is interesting. I want to learn more about it." And everybody was a minter. Everybody was making custom NFTs. Everybody was one of one. Everybody was putting airdrops to everybody. And I was like, "This is just never gonna go as far as it could because there's so many people trying to manipulate it, and so many people just taking
Yeah,
advantage of the fact that people don't know much about it."
I wish Zuck would leak more stuff, but I think this Meta Connect thing, the 11th, is it the 11th?
Yep.
I think that's going to clear up a lot of the speculations with, what is going on, like the present and the future and the things like that. And then I think I think there was like a release date for the new headset.
Hmm.
Have you heard of that? Or
Nothing
like
confirmed. I just know
how
that we'll hear
much?
about it on the 11th.
We'll hear about it on the 11th. Okay, cool. I guess wait until then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a choice because even though that leak, here we go with the air quotes, the leak, the dude who found the headset in the
The leak.
trash at the hotel, I mean, that kind of just started the buzz up and it did its job. I mean, it's kind of like when I think it was like the iPhone 4S or something was leaked. Dude left it at a bar, sitting on a bar stool. How many times have you left something on a bar stool? I don't think anything that I've ever worn in my life has had the ability to leave something on a bar stool. But the iPhone leaked; it was left on a bar stool, and then Gizmodo took it and blew it up, and then that was their whole thing. But I mean, as far as like this headset that was leaked by being found in the trash at a random hotel, I mean, no one has come forward like to dispute it or to any cease and desist to take down the videos. It's been just more buzz and more more news than anything, and I think it's all good. It's good to keep that because if we don't have buzz around the new headsets and people interested, Horizon can't grow. We're not going to have people to come in here to take advantage of the space and keep building it.
Right. As much as I want Facebook and, you know, Mark Zuckerberg to be a leader in the whole metaverse thing,
Hmm.
which we're all in here, I feel like invested. We're investing our time in here and our money in here also. So, um a return on investment would be nice. And then, the whole the whole monetization thing. How's that going?
I was gonna say I thought that comment was going further than it did, but then it went there. So yeah, monetization. It's interesting. It's not been pushed out to majority. They haven't announced literally another word publicly about monetization except for when Zuckerberg was on Vidyuu Nights with Lakes and with Flutter and John McClay and Ashes, and when they talked about monetization it was a very brief discussion about bonuses, which they've announced publicly about just getting paid to have worlds, and then the monetization for in-world purchases, which you can go to worlds and you can buy things, whether it's like super speed or jump high or unlockables or these VIP rooms. You can pretty much see them in a lot of worlds that you can go to Andrew Money's world, you can go to Hardy West worlds, you can go to Ubiquitous Worlds. There's quite a few people that have created a lot of in-world purchases that you can check out. But I mean, a lot of people that have already built worlds. I mean, that would be like me putting a ticket booth here, and you'd have to pay $1 to get up to the microphone. Like I'm already having you do that, so there's no benefit to putting a price tag on something in a world that already exists. So these new worlds have to be built in order for the monetization to make more sense, which is why monetization you can only see really successful in newer worlds, and they're kind of giving people perks for the money.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's really not much out there that's groundbreaking. I mean, it's great to be able to buy accessories and cool things while you're in a world, but it's just so new still.
The asset library has new stuff in there, right? Like what's new? What's new in the asset library? Have you checked that out
Oh,
recently?
I missed out on the last week. The asset library grew. It's like a couple hundred Wild West assets in there, I heard. I haven't even looked this week. Has anybody seen what's new in the asset library this week? I think it was over the last couple of days. If you could, come up to the mic and tell about it, because last thing I saw that they put in there were some pine trees. And I have to laugh because the first time they put trees in, they had a pair of trees that you couldn't separate, and that was kind of the biggest thing that we were talking about as creators. If you're going to give us anything to use in our worlds, make sure that they either can be separated, they can be broken down, or it's just a single object, because there's no benefit in having two trees that you have to kind of place as two trees all over your world, and it's just a repetitive um you know two assets as one. So they gave us the new pine tree, so make sure you get your pine trees. They're in the asset library now as a one mesh object. But I haven't heard really much anything else about the asset library. I mean, one of the biggest requests I think that's out there is a multi-level thing about assets. There's a request out there for your ownership of an asset, having your name on it when you first create it. If you could lock your assets, being able to lock it down. So let's say I give H. Briner an asset, I give him my Metapop. Well, my Metapop was created by Sadie Chan, so she owns it and it has her name on it for the entirety of its existence. But if I give it to H. Briner, he can't paint it, he can't break it apart. Like, these are things that creators want, so that way they can protect their builds. Because imagine, let's say Sadie Chan, I'm giving all the flowers to for making this, and then I go ahead and I tear it apart and I turn it into a monstrosity. And I'm like, yeah, this is Sadie Chan's, but it just looks terrible because I went in here and remixed it. And then from there, let's say I decide to sell it. Well, now not only did I tear apart her original work, it no longer has her name on it, and then I decide to go sell it as my own. You can't prevent that right now, and that's why in horizonworlds.uservoice.com, and I know it's weird to shout out the website, but I really want people to go there and check out the feature requests, because there are feature requests for being able to lock down assets. There's feature requests for having a marketplace to be able to sell assets, a way to keep your attrition, your name all over it. That way nobody can take it and reuse it as their own. The ability to um, if you sell it, kind of like an NFT, you created it and then you get a portion of it every time it resells. So there's a lot of creative ways that people are trying to use assets right now. And I imagine that Meta's looking at it and saying, well, which do you want? Do you want to lock it down? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to remix it? Do you want to leave it open? Do you want your name on it? Do you want it to be everybody's? Do you want to have a marketplace full of things that have all of the above? I mean, I don't know what the right direction or the answer is to that, because me personally, as you know, just like with the Video Essentials bundle that Lakes has been using for a year now. The Video Essentials bundle got to a point where there was 5 copies of it. There was probably 5 to 700 people on each individual copy. And then inside of those, he would go in and update it every couple of weeks with new things. And it was just so unmanageable to a point where somehow the community spoke up, getting the Video Essentials 20 pieces at a time into the asset library. I mean, that's huge. Vidyuu's been out here creating tons of assets that have put together countless worlds with respawn scripts, microphones, the return scripts, the splashing follow effect, games like Table Cup. I mean, there's just so many essentials that have been created that are now in the asset library. And it's just because the community spoke up and said, we need this, an easier way to share assets. So keep using user voice, keep using those feature requests, because they are being heard. One thing that I shouted out in August was that there were 30 plus feature requests closed out just from February to August. So February is when it launched, and it really didn't take off too much. It was still brand new, but by August there were 30 plus feature requests that were provided and closed out just because of people voting on them and sharing them in Discord and in the community group. I mean, there's definitely something to using your voice, which is why user voice is such an amazing tool. So if you haven't had a chance, make sure you check that out. Make sure that you go out there and just see what's available, because you never know if there's something that you recommend and it's like, oh, that's a great idea. Why didn't we actually think of that? And then they create it all because of you creating a feature request. So, um, let's see. So tonight, I do want to bring up at least somebody from the audience. Come up here, say a couple of words, and then we'll have our special guest come up here and talk about what's been going on with them, how things got started. And one person I am interested in finding out a little bit more. I can't actually invite you up to the stage because you don't exist on my script. So I don't know how you did it, Timster, but would you like to come up on stage and talk a little bit? Yeah, come on up. So you'll have to walk around to the side and then hop up on stage. But so Dimpster, as he walks through the curtain right now. There he is. So y'all throw some confetti up for Dimpster, y'all. Throw a little confetti. If y'all don't know Dimpster by now, I would like y'all to get acquainted. So first of all, Dimpster, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. I'm sorry the coffee is not only stale, but it's a little bit of Z-ripping too. So you
Yep.
may not want to taste that.
Now I just have to
So
just sit here and
yeah.
a
I
little
mean, not that
ASMR
any
for
of this
everyone.
stuff
Yeah.
actually is refreshing, but it's more of a prop for people who have anxiety or just need to hang on to something. I noticed that when I didn't have anything on this table when we first launched it, people were kind of fidgeting and looking around. And when I gave people these coffee cups, they were just kind of like, yeah, everything's good. It's like a little pacifier or a way to calm their nerves. But the respawn script on them is a little screwy. So if you
That works.
toss it really high, I don't have a stop motion in the script, so it flips over.
That's awesome. It's one of those
So
happy
Dimster, tell
stances.
us a little bit. Oh yeah, for sure. And it's great that I learned about the stop motion in my return script because, interestingly enough, in Visit 2.0, if you put the stop motion after you set origin position and origin rotation,
Hmm.
it has one frame of movement. So for like golf, it falls off the tee, but it still stops the motion just enough
Yep.
to where it stops late and just continues its momentum. But if you put the stop physical motion at the top of the script, it actually stops it completely, and then it sets the rotation in the position, which is completely off. I don't know why that's a thing. So enough
Hmm.
geek speak. Dimster, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself before you came into Horizon. Hobbies, anything you were interested in, and what brought you to Horizon.
I guess I've always been kind of a tech kind of guy. I've had the Oculus One for a little while and was doing a lot of VR gaming. And then when this finally
Hmm.
came out in beta, it was like, why not give it a try? I'm one of those kind of social, antisocial kind of guys where I can definitely hang out in a group, but I never go chase after it. So it was kind of weary coming into this thing as well. But I don't know, I just
Hmm.
made some really good friends in here, and that really helps when you're trying to be part of a community. And fundamentally, it was about the being creative. Like, as you know, since I got in here, all I've done is just kind of use the options of creating fun experiences that I loved, which I hoped other people
Hmm.
would as well, from like my childhood and just memorying of stuff. So it allowed me to express myself, which worked out, I think, really well. And I think some people really did enjoy them. So yeah, it's been nice being able to just kind of play around with that side of things as well. So,
It's
but the
a
side benefit
great
is I made a bunch of good friends.
that is obviously the best part of a social app is actually making friends in here. Before you got into Horizon, was it easy to make friends in any other app, or was it Horizon the first chance that you actually were able to make actual connections and friendships?
I never made friends on social, like on online social communities. I never was that kind of individual. It wasn't until this one. I think it's more of like it's closer to it's in person, but it's not. It's more of like
Hmm.
if you go to like let's be fair. If you go to VR chat, it's a lot of children just running up to you and just going ah and running off, and it was not a fun experience when I first tried it. But then you have other ones where like online discussions or something like that. You get a lot of trolls and stuff like that where it's just people just commenting mean things all the time. So it never really appealed to me. It wasn't until you get in here and you get kind of like more like real reactions, actually talking to someone is I think why I like this one better, and it allowed me to kind of make the friends that I did at the time. So yeah, I think it's quite different for each of those, but they're great for other people who want those kind of experiences too. But that's just mine from when I came in on this.
Awesome. Yeah, let me shout out a couple people on the stream, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We got Thiessen out there saying hello. Please join us in the in the auditorium. Love to have you here. We got Gamer898. We got Super. I don't know why Super shouting out. He's in the building, but somebody was asking about you should be able to host your own venues like Big Screen. We all want that, and we
That'd be
should be
cool.
able to make our own home without going to Unity. I mean, I think that the idea of having your own hosted venue, we've already seen the event system.
Yeah.
That giving that access to everybody didn't work. People were taking advantage of literally every surface of the menu, and as soon as events became public, you saw it. 2 week long events. Come check out my new world, and it was like six
Yeah.
of them in there. Have you messed with the event tools yet? Have you had a chance to create an
No,
event to
I'm
show off your
glad I
world?
haven't had to have a reason for it. So, but I've heard the pain stories, especially going to tours all the time. Every
Sheesh.
Wednesday, by the way. It's really I heard the pain in your voice every single time it would happen. But I feel like it's evened out a little bit. It's not as horrible what I've been hearing, but I'm just glad I didn't have to deal with it.
That's accurate. Events are not as horrible. That's about the
it's
state of events
it's
right now.
it's not failing, but it's not great.
Well, no. Don't let's not go there.
I
Let's
said
just
not
say it's
great.
not horrible. Well, you said not failing. I
not
mean, there's
it's not
definitely
failing, but it's not great.
we had
Somewhere between.
events you could only have 4 people in it, so that was fun. That
Oh.
was 2 weeks ago. So
Oh, and then
yeah,
there was the
it's
entire problem where some people would join the real thing and some people would then join the hosted one, and there was always a mix up with
yeah.
it. I feel like it's a lot more seamless now for that.
Yeah, and the good thing is that they didn't last long. So credit to Meta, when we did report those issues, they were able to make them go away, so to
Yep.
speak. So dealing with one day of 4 people in an event, hey, everybody had their own intimate event of four, so not the end of the world. We were still able to have people hosting events or hosting a tour, and that's kind of the benefit of where we took world tours. Now you go up on stage, you talk about your world, you can talk about your experiences in here and then throw up a portal and go world explore with whoever's there.
I like that.
But
That was neat.
since that only one time of not having more than 4 people, we've actually turned towards a little bit more into that social building again that we had at the meetup area. People were able to go up there and just talk about connections they've made and places they've been. And really, if they haven't created worlds, they feel like they're a part of the community. And that's one of those gaps that we just couldn't figure out how to fill up until literally now.
Yeah.
You started world building pretty much immediately when you came in
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah. I think I was
Did
in
you
here
find
for
it
a month and then started
intimidating at
playing.
all, or?
Um, at the time, there wasn't as many tutorials at the time when it first came in. Definitely, like yourself, I know Lakes as well was also very similar. Like a good portion were all
Hmm.
provided by them. So when I came in, I actually did a lot of it just by playing around and just trying out things. But thankfully, there was videos by people like Vidyuu and Lakes doing all those kind of helpful kind of tips about how to do things better. So I found that being my first and foremost stepping stones towards everything else. But I think it was one of those things where people are asking me afterwards about how to build, and one of the things I always told them was it's 100% get in there and just start dropping objects down. You're going to make mistakes. 100% you're going to make mistakes, but you got to start somewhere. You got to start with something to figure out what you want. So go ahead and try it. It's not the end of the world. If you make a horrible world, you'll learn from it and do your next one. Like if I look back at my old worlds, they're horrible. Like I had so many things I want to do better. Like one of my worlds I went back and updated recently, where like I've only been in this for like 6 months or something like that. But like one of my earlier worlds, the Stranger Things one, I built it,
Mm-hmm.
and later on, like maybe 2 months later, I went back and I found I could actually increase the overall world size, like double the size, just by taking what I
Right.
learned and finding a new way of doing it. So expanded the whole world and made it a lot more fun. So I feel like that's the 100% the stepping stone for things.
So for if you haven't seen it, this was like one of the first ones that I saw by you. So
Yeah.
the Stranger Things buyer's house, the lights up on the wall with the letters. That
I
was
learned a lot from the lights on the wall. Holy crap, man.
yeah. I was gonna ask you. So when you first published it,
Yeah.
that wasn't working entirely right or the way you wanted. What was it
No.
that you changed to make it actually work, or was it just learning the scripting panel?
It was, a lot of it was scripting because at the time, like the first scripts I was building was that was like my second world, and also was my first introduction to sculpting because I started with building the Demigorgon, and it was just
Oh yeah,
built it, and then I built the world around it. So it was like learning how to build things with objects a lot more efficiently was something I didn't learn then. But doing something simple like blinking lights for scripts,
yeah.
like it was the introduction, and then getting into things like playing back music and stuff like that, and learning how to do that. That I banged my head against the wall for like weeks on that one, just trying to figure out nice ways of doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it paid out, and I've guaranteed I rebuilt those things 20 times over just trying to make them work.
If
So
you
yeah,
if you arrange the letters, I have a light script that just kind of
I say I'm
goes
going
around.
past it. Yep.
I can't take any credit for it though, because again, this was built well before Vidyuu verification, well before I even built my first respawn script, and that's why Vidyuu production for this show. But also, every one of my worlds has a Vidyuu collaboration sign in it. Since literally the day that I met Alex, he was in a world doing a graduation for a building class. People were learning
Oh,
how to build, do some basic scripts, and that's when I met him during the graduation, which they published the world. And since literally that day, he's been, kind of just mentoring without even realizing how many people he's been
yep.
mentoring, because he's always just constantly giving and sharing information and dropping knowledge. And it was just something that it was like, hey, you've been making videos that are all like first person view of building sessions, and you're doing these Wednesday walkthroughs that were kind of like the opposite end of the tours that I was giving. I was like, why don't we collaborate and try and do something for doing
Yeah.
tours? And when we came together, we had kind of all of these ideas surrounding everything we had been doing, and the biggest thing that came from it was Horizon World Tours became its own platform. And then the creator spotlight turned into Vidyuu Nights and more of the entertainment side of
Yeah.
Vidyuu, and then the focus on education for the Vidyuu Tutorials channel. And now it's grown even beyond that to Tutoriales en Español for the Spanish speaking community. We've got Lakes is Live, which is now all of the
Yep.
live streams, and he can focus on creation for people to kind of vote on what they want to see next. So it's like he's constantly been evolving how he's teaching and how he's sharing information and leveling up the community. And Vidyuu verification is just yet another place that people can go and benefit from just being able to level up. Now, have you even taken a look at Vidyuu verification? I know you've been scripting and building in here for a while, but have you even taken a look at it to kind of see
I did.
what all is involved?
Yeah, so took the there it's really simple where you simply go onto the website and you can actually take a survey and it tells you whether or not this is something you kind of should be doing or not because it kind of tests your knowledge at that point. And the other huge benefit I saw with it is like there's a sheet and gives you a whole bunch of learning information right off the bat. Here's a link to learn this better or a link to learn this better. So I started the process and I ended up taking the summer off, just doing some of my own stuff, and then coming back in. And I'm like, hey, maybe it'll be worthwhile because I can definitely learn more. That's the huge point of this is always trying to find new things you can learn and trying to make it better for the next piece you build and try to help the next person.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know if you
it works for
saw
me.
it. Somebody actually recorded their assessment with Sensei J.
Oh, really?
And I was a little nervous, because not about Sensei J whatsoever, because he's an amazing, amazing assessor and uh, guidance, and everything that he shares. It's like, I can't say enough great things about Sensei J, but when somebody recorded the assessment, you always think about it when somebody's recording. and they post it on social media, usually it's that sensationalism or it's that drama or they're finding that negative spin or that clickbait.
Yeah.
And the title was just my assessment for Vidyuu verification. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in this with an open mind. I'm not gonna be too judgmental. I'm not gonna like, you know, read into it if it's bad. And the entire thing was so positive. It was so fun. And Jay was just like full of like delight, like happy to be there. Oh, all right, you got this one. Hey, by the way, if you did this way, that's the next step that you could take this to. And then if you want to go even further, you should definitely check out the scripting verification badge because then you can do this and this and this with it. And the entire video, it's like almost 45 minutes long of literally just Jay and this person who is on their channel. They're like having a great time going through the assessment of their world. And by the end of it, it was just like, oh man, this was so much fun. I had a blast. Like, no, no, no. It was
Nice.
great to be here. Like, I was so blown away that that was like the best testimonial that I've ever seen for anything. And it was just completely unscripted. It
Just
was so
unscripted. Yeah.
genuine. Yeah.
I love that.
So I mean,
Knowing of
if
what I know of Sensei J, I don't think you could have been anything other than happy and joyous. He's always like that, I think. But no,
he's
it
like,
was
what do you
great.
mean you don't have a respawn? Ah, ah.
Went dark really
No.
fast.
Yeah, right.
Denied.
I hate
Denied. Denied.
like the driving instructor that's just checking you
Yeah,
off to
just
failure,
checking
right?
off. Oh, didn't check your
Yeah.
mirrors. Yeah. But
It's
no,
like
that's cool. I love
Bizarro
that.
World, the other side, it was all positive and it was all like if you miss something, it's like, oh, don't worry about it. Well, next time, do this, this, and this, and then you'll actually get that. But that's okay. You don't have to get everything.
Hmm.
And like all of those things is just such positive reinforcement. Imagine when we started, somebody going and taking us through one of our worlds and just being like, oh yeah, well, you didn't get that, but tell you what, this is how you would do it next time, and this is my advice, and
Hmm.
actually you can do it this way too. Like I don't know, I think we'd all be better builders and scripters in here if we had more mentors like Lakes and like Sensei J and all of these incredible builders and scripters that are out here.
I think it's also equally that having that open mentality. I think listening is not it's
Mm,
having someone help you is great, but you have to be open to the listening aspect of it too. Because I have friends in here too, like do building, and like they'll ask me to come over and just simply see if you can find anything wrong. To help me find if there's things I could have done better or
yeah.
another point of view. And I've done the exact same thing to them. I just new world I was working on. I just brought over a few of them yesterday. I'm like, I'm halfway through. Is there anything wrong with it? Is there something I could have done differently? It's having that ability to listen to other people about potential failures that you made is
Hmm.
a really good skill to have as well, especially when you're trying to build things that other people are going to like. So,
Now, have you had any negative experiences in here when you first came in, whether it was just being in a public space in the community or somebody building with you? Have you had anyone kind of being, not just running around and screaming, but
hmm.
actually like just negative?
I don't think I've. Usually, I'm pretty good about just separating myself from those type of people as well. I've worked in industries where you have to kind of do that, so I know when people are negative. So for me,
Hmm.
I've oriented myself around people I think are going to be like minded majority of the time. So thankfully, I've never had anything horrible. I've had some experiences before where some of my building experiences, I did some work with someone and they end up stealing some of my stuff as well,
Oh
and
no.
never even admitted to it and never even said anything. But it's one of those things of, will I let it bother me? No, like it's not the end of the world. I know it sucks for these things you do effort for, but I'm in the mentality of if you got benefits out of it, then great. Their hand up. Are you leaving? Just it was weird. Sup.
Yeah, people want
But
to
yeah, for
jam
me, it's one of those things
reggaeton
I'd
while they're.
rather, yeah, for rather look at it in a positive light. Well, if someone got value out of it, great. I'm not going to work with you again, but so be it.
That's an interesting perspective because not many people have that perspective about something bad happening to them and then their response just being, if you found value, that's great, but I'm not going to work with you ever again. That's something that Lakes actually said a couple of months ago because
Hmm.
through Vidyuu verification, through opportunities that he's been kind of trying to give to the community, commission builds, the anime exhibit. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. commissioned a number of creators to just create an anime in their own style, and the anime exhibit was that culmination of all of these different creators put into one world. And not one of them prior to had done anything with Vidyuu or with lakes. It was just basically asking the community, can you come up with something and we'll showcase it. And it was a paid gig. Same thing
That's
with
cool.
the current builds that are going on. Ask people to create some fashion items. So through the Vigi verification, and even in an extension from there, people who are in the builders directory who have referred others are getting commission work from just trying to bring more things from the community in. um, but he always tells people now that you have an NDA, and your NDA you should take seriously. But
Mm.
if for some reason you decide you're not gonna hold true to your NDA, we're just not gonna work with you anymore. And
Yep.
that's kind of like a really solid thing to think about. Like, rather than going after you and suing you, which I imagine if it got to an extreme, yeah, obviously the NDA is going to be that ironclad thing to protect the work product and the client and whatnot. But just to tell somebody, you know what, if you decide you're going to break your NDA, we're just not going to work with you anymore. Like that really makes people think about it, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to lose this opportunity. I don't want to not be involved in future work or be able to put my assets into a world that's going to be seen by potentially 100,000 plus people. So I'm definitely gonna honor that NDA, and that way I can keep getting these opportunities. So when you
Absolutely.
said it, it was just like a breath of fresh air to hear, because for me, when somebody steals from you, you got to take it personally. Like, you really do feel some kind of way, because it's like I put my hard effort into it, and somebody actually stole from me.
Yeah. So,
So,
but no, it's fair. And NDAs are a very interesting one. Coming from, as I said it before, an agency kind of experience
mhm.
before. We're talking about like big businesses, and that means a lot. In here, people kind of gloss over that a little bit because they think it's a
Oh yeah,
game, it's not something relevant. And even if it's something you're making an agreement between you and a friend, you still have to respect that. And the same things are going to applicable. The only distinction is you might not get sued, but that's the other part of it, though. So NDAs or agreements, all you're trying to do is just you want to build a good, healthy relationship to build. That's all you guys want to do. And if you don't agree, then part your separate ways and agree what makes sense. Just don't be mean to each other. That's not the point of this. This is a social
yep.
platform, not an anti-social platform.
Exactly. And I think that's where people kind of blur the line, and they think, well, we're not going to sell this to anybody. We're just working on something together. And it gets to a certain point where they don't see eye to eye, and they feel they own more of it than they should, or maybe they do actually own more of it because they put in more effort, and it just gets
Mm,
messy. And I tell people, if you're going to work with somebody you don't know, get a contract. Come up with some kind of an
yeah,
agreement. Everything that I build is mine. If we don't publish this world together, I'm going to pull these assets out, and you can continue on with what you're working on. But the safest bet is what I've been seeing: work in separate worlds. Have someone
yeah,
create assets, just literally create assets, build cups and trees and chairs and couches and tables and whatever it may be, and have somebody else work on character design and the backgrounds. And
absolutely.
when it comes time, hey, you know what, we're still in agreement, let's go ahead and bring all those assets into the main world. We bring everything in, we situate everything, find out what's missing, and publish. But so many people are in the same world, and they start getting these little thoughts in their head. I see they moved my tree, and now they've switched it out, and that's different color, and I don't remember putting that there. And then instead of just talking about it, it starts to just slowly chip away at them, and they start thinking he's taking over my world, or
Yeah,
maybe we're not seeing eye to eye anymore. And I think that's what most of these disagreements are, just miscommunication or lack thereof. All you have to do is talk to somebody. Be like, you know what,
yeah,
Dimpster, that tree should be green and brown, and you're like, nah, it's purple and blue. All right, well, let's go with purple and green. Let's compromise. Boom.
yep.
We just got over
But
whatever. Maybe you don't like
it's a
purple and
perfect
blue. I don't know.
example there too, because I've been in worlds where I see something which has been designed by someone and I don't agree with it. I could I could go change it the way I want it, but instead I'm going to leave it and talk to the person. I've done that before where I'm
Yep.
like, you know what? I don't want to touch someone else's work. I don't know if they were trying to solve or do something appropriately. At the same time, I will ask for carte blanche to say, if I see a problem, would you let me fix it as well? there's that balance between the two of them. The other thing you mentioned about working in separate worlds, I think it was a really good example. Was Lakes did we did that Rube Goldberg machine stream
Yes,
last this week, was it, or last week? It's lost
it
all sense of
was.
time. But that one was a perfect example that all these different people doing different things coming together to unique one. Obviously, they're all distinct in their own way, but it was a cool example of showing people doing their own things. It would have been neat if we all recorded our own experiences and kind of put it together as a final clip. But good example of working together, and you don't even know the people. That's the huge benefit. Like half those people I'd even know. So working with them and seeing how we came up with different ideas was really fun.
It's actually a really great point and something that is a perfect segue from what we were talking about, building in your own world and then bringing them into the main world. So, if you haven't seen it yet on the Vidyuu tutorial channel, Lakes went live and they did a Rube Goldberg machine. Rube Goldberg. Am I saying it? Rube Goldberg. Bleh.
Yep.
Machine, which basically is like creating a complex way to do a simple action. And so, if you've ever seen one before, it'll like start off with maybe a metal ball that falls out of a cup and it kind of goes along this path and it finds its way to the end through all these various ways. And so, Lakes decided part of his new methodology of scripting that he's testing is basically having people script a small thing, just some kind of an action in their own world. And then he, at the end of the 30 minutes, had everybody come back into the main world and import that one thing. He even put the script on the wall for people so that way you knew what the action was to pass it to the next one. So listening
Hmm.
and then sending the event. And by the end, it basically turned into a world that was called, of course, I closed it, so
I think he
scratching my
called it
eye.
that, the Rube Goldberg machine.
This, yeah, so it's scripting something. Rube. I'm gonna Yep, that's the one. So Rube Goldberg, it was called
There
Vidyuu
it is.
Scripting Exhibit, the Rube Goldberg machine. So if you haven't seen this yet, make sure that you bookmark it, search it. I'm gonna close the portal so y'all don't leave me. Rube Goldberg machine, go look at that in your menu and bookmark it because it's really incredible. When you go in there, he used assets from the asset library to kind of populate this bedroom. He used the star script to put stars on the ceiling. And then you'll find eventually the beginning of the Rube Goldberg machine, and it'll kind of present everyone's specific scripted thing that are all tied together, and at the end you'll notice it executes a simple task in the room. And
Yeah.
I loved it. I was so like over the moon for the creativity. All of you were working independently, had no idea what anybody else was working on, and
Yep.
because of the way the Rube Goldberg machine works, every one of them tied in together because of the script, and
Yep.
then it completed the full circle. So how
It
was
was
that
fun.
experience? Talk about that a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a time crunch kind of mentality there. It was also fun too because I also paired up with someone else, someone I never worked with. He was wanting
Oh,
some
Lewis.
support, so yeah, so paired up with him. It was great. Unfortunately, he could stick around for the whole thing. His headset died, but we were able to come up with a concept of something we both agreed on. That's always the fun part when you're working with someone else, is figuring out what you both want to do, especially with like a blank slate. If you got this little cube, build something. It's one thing to say like I'm going to do this, but having to agree on that is always the fun part of like what are the common elements? What about this one? And that's how we came up with the Acme bomb of what we were going to do. It was neat because it was also trying to figure out, since it's again this is a small space, we're trying to multitask. What can do, what I can do, and I thought that was really fun about trying to both guide, but at the same time listen at the same time. Like, why don't maybe you could do that while I do this, or would you prefer to do this and I could do this? So trying to find that balance between each other. So again, tight time crunch, but it was definitely worthwhile. It would last minute, everything kind of fell together and it just worked, which was awesome. So I enjoyed it, and
Eh,
especially afterwards, watching everyone's being brought in on the live stream and then joining for the final finale. I think that was also equally fun as well because everyone had a shared accomplishment, which was amazing.
yeah, and I kind of wondered I was gonna join and I thought about it, and I was like, 30 minutes, and even though
Yeah.
I can script and the script was there, that just was just plus I already had something going on, but when I
Mm.
was working on my project, I was like, this wouldn't be a break. It wouldn't be a relaxing break from what I was working on. This would be another very
That's
like
absolutely there.
stressing kind of so I was like, I don't think I want to jump in on this. So I'm going to go back and finish up what I was working on. But when I wrapped up and I came to join after it was done,
Oh,
um he was finishing up the world because I think he had to connect a couple of things and then
yep.
publish it. But I went to check out the world afterwards, and I was just like, yeah, this is something that definitely is something that I would like to get to that level. I'm still learning, I'm still getting comfortable with just being able to create my own scripts, but
Yep.
watching y'all work on that, it was just really inspiring because everyone had different skill sets, everyone had different competencies,
Yeah.
and everyone was able to at least make something that contributed to it, and that's what I really loved about it.
Yeah, the differences in between them were amazing, and some of them were like highly complicated. Like there was the one which had the moving magnet, and that was just blew my mind. Another one had really cool solar system actions. Another one was just a very artistic bee with some bees going around. It didn't matter. They were all unique and amazing in their own ways. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching what people came up with, especially like how the skills also related to how quickly someone would get done with certain things. Like seeing them like a beautiful piece come together in a quicker amount of time where I made a bomb, which was just a circle and nothing crazy in it, but most of my time was in the scripting. So just seeing those differences of how people work was pretty fun too. So
It's kind of funny because as I was watching all of them, the bomb with the surprise afterwards was my favorite. I was watching the fuse burn down, and I don't know what it was. Like, I just enjoyed yours, and I don't want to spoil it, so y'all definitely go check it out. But I definitely enjoyed yours out of all of them. It was just my favorite. Like, I literally stood next to it, and I was like pointing at it while they were like, going through the thing. Because of course I jumped through the wall, but
of course you
um
did. Breaking the fourth
but
wall.
that's my thing, like doing the,
So,
the world testing. I mean, that's how I got my start in here, just being able to test worlds, break them, make them more solid for people to be able to enjoy. I know H. Briner knows what I'm talking about, being able to find all of the holes in the walls and where people can jump up and be disruptive. H. Briner was doing that for me, making sure that anyone else came in here couldn't be disruptive because the week that he was here with me, people were jumping up on the sign and hopping on stage, and um,
I
I
find that
didn't have
fun
my
as well
walls locked in.
sometimes. Yeah, I actually
Oh
for
yeah.
a little while at the beginning, I was all I did was I would go to a world with some friends and we would find kind of like the holes because it was fun to do. And then when it was happening to me with my worlds, instead of being upset about it, I'm like, dude, how'd you do that? That's awesome. Show me how you got there. It's a cool feature. And I either would leave it and be like a secret, or you would find like, is there something like I can make this more enjoyable, or is this a problem for other people?
Hmm. Hey, Briner,
You're
you're in a
muted.
party still. Nope,
Hang
you're
on,
still in a
I'll be
party.
back.
Oh, now you're
Oh,
talking.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I can still get on top of your building. I can still get in your stage. Just to let you
Nice.
know, I can do it
No, you
right
have to
now
do
if
it
you want
live
me
on
to.
camera.
Huh?
Live on camera. Go for it.
You have to do it
Show me
live on
where it's
camera
at.
now, so everyone can
All
see.
right. Everybody watch H. Briner. Unless you're a
Yep,
troll, look to your right.
yep.
Trolls look to your
Nothing to
right.
see here.
Everyone else looked. Oh,
It was
he's
like
doing the
during the
teleport.
stream, like Lakes is putting the reset world
Yeah.
in button. He's like, no one knows about the reset world button, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. Teleport, you can go through
Yeah, teleport
cracks
can do a
in the
lot.
wall. It's such an annoyance.
Now you're
But
stuck
what
up
I
here.
love is that yeah, you're stuck with us.
No, actually, I could get out if I want to. Also,
That's the
And you're
spirit.
gonna be our special guest now
that is
that
that
you're up
is
here too.
that is part of what I do in worlds. I go in and I like to troll trap them better than I
Yeah.
do just closing the hole. That way, it's more fun to send them into some place where they can go and really let them bounce around and be a troll all they want to.
Yeah.
So
It's neat getting in behind some
Yeah.
things. I actually, for a while, I actually purposely, in some of my early worlds, I actually would bring people in behind so they could see the stuff in behind the scenes, so you can actually see what's happening in behind the facade. It's like going the backstage of Disney World or something like that, seeing like this is what's happening with the animatronics kind of thing.
right,
It's kind of fun.
I actually got a chance to go backstage in Small World in Disneyland one time.
That's
It
awesome.
was
wow.
crazy. Just a little
And drolling
going
music
on in there.
constantly. Ooh.
Oh yeah, it
Would
was
not want to
weird.
work that ride, but amazing. I love it.
Nope.
Yep.
But I only
now,
got to do it
now this
once. The
world when
only
it
one I got to see. But
oh,
I
that's
do
great.
build
Yeah.
worlds, and I've got a few out there. They're published in public, but I haven't advertised them yet because there's still a few little glitches I want to take care of before I really get them going. One of them you
Nope,
can
it's
ride and
fair.
wear motorcycles, and you've got an Evil Knievel style jump, and
That's cool.
Wow.
it's
Oh, we got
pretty neat.
somebody at the
So
mic. Sneaks, you got a question? Nope. Just
Backing away
testing out
slowly.
the circles. That's
I
cool.
Full
think you
Homer Simpson
tried to
into
use
Um,
like me.
the bush.
yeah, this world when it was built, there were no trolls. Crazy enough, there were no people world testing like me. I mean, there were very few. Home Ed definitely one of the greats who was doing tons of world testing and breaking everything. But for the most part, when we built these worlds, it was like, if you really want to break in, to hell with it. I'm just glad that we got 20 people in this world. That was kind of finding that many people online at the same time was just a blessing. I was like, yes, everyone we know is on. Let's get them in here so we can
Nice.
record. And
Hey,
I
if
and
people
now
are
actually
still
it's
have
having
like,
fun, that's all that matters. As long as they're not
I
having
actually
fun
have two
expense of
worlds
others.
that are kind
Hmm,
of built for that, where people can run around and hit things and try to make actions happen. And
that's
there's
cool.
6 triggers in the world that blow up in. Like one of them is a little grenade guy. He's got a counterpart outside. When you hit the grenade inside, he shoots a grenade to the little mountain, and the big guy outside shoots a grenade to the big mountain.
Nice. What
So
world's
that was
that one?
kind of fun.
Are you ready
That's
to
called
publish that one yet?
My Place First Floor. Most of my worlds
Oh,
are built with my place and no space in between them.
uh,
So they're just fun to run
nice.
around in. Anybody can go in there and play games and figure them out.
Saved. I'm gonna check that one out. I like it.
Thank you. I'm having issues with the getting somebody to help me script the leaderboard in there, which is one of the reasons why I haven't posted those up. So I
Have you
need a
checked out
good
the online
scripter.
tutorials for that
Uh,
on video? The video
um,
has a video on that specifically.
I kind of
yeah,
have
new one
ADD,
actually.
and it's hard for me to concentrate on some of that stuff sometimes. So
Yeah, it's about stepping stones, and honestly, once you get
yeah, so
you in your head, it's pretty easy. But yeah, take your time.
yeah,
There
I've
is
done
the
some.
collaboration world as well, I believe, where you can actually
Yeah,
find scripters, where you can
I've
submit
done
your name
some
in. And
scripting, and I've got keyframes running all around them, and
nice,
there's a UFO, and there's um 3 hang gliders, and there's a parachutist, and there's a rock climber. Those are all done on keyframes.
nice.
So, but
If you can get
90% of what you'll see in the
keyframes
world,
down, most of it should make sense. So
ninety
yeah,
percent of what
obviously,
you'll
if you've
see
never
in
done
those
it,
worlds, I built.
learning, but yeah,
So yeah, well, a friend of mine actually gave me the keyframe script, so
okay.
that's what I use to do those.
You should take a
I
look
still
at
don't
like
understand it
actually look
all.
at the scripts as well. Like the nice thing
Oh,
about Horizon scripting is that they can be complicated. Let's be fair, especially if you look at
oh
some of the more
yes,
complicated ones, they can be very complicated. But the basic ones, like if you look at a keyframe one, they're not really crazy. It's just go to this object, and that's
right.
fundamentals of a lot of things too. So it certainly doesn't hurt for you to take a moment and take a look at it. But as I said before, you can actually get the support from one of the collaborator places. I think there's still a link in um, Horizon
Yeah,
World Tours, I believe.
I'm gonna have to get in that too.
Yeah, you can definitely find people that way. If not, yeah, the video has
Mhm.
a tutorial on how to do it as well. I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
But no, it sounds
Yeah.
amazing though. Like what you're doing, it's honestly would scare a lot of people, but
Um,
you were able to do it as well, which is awesome. If you're
right.
built a whole world about a bunch of that stuff, it's awesome.
I also asked last time I was here about being able to keep a person inside a vehicle. I
Mm-hmm.
actually got that kind of figured out now. I just built the
Nice.
box thicker in the front and thicker in the back,
Mm-hmm.
but I still haven't got. I've got another world that's based on a 1/4 mile racetrack, and the fastest I can get you to go while you're in the vehicle now is 25 miles an hour instead
Oh
of the
wow.
176 miles an hour I'm getting if it's just the person running down the track.
No, I wonder if it's pushing back on the self, like the
Yeah,
vehicle
you're
is
trying to
slowing you
push the
down.
vehicle, and the vehicle won't move that fast.
That's surprising. You
So,
should be able to make the vehicle move pretty fast.
well, I haven't figured that part out yet. That's what
Okay,
I'm working on. It's
interesting.
another one of those. It's another one of those things that I'm working on. That would probably somebody who's really good at scripting could probably just go click, 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 and it'd be done. But me, I'm going like click, click. Oh darn, that's not right. Click, click, click. Nope, nope,
That's
nope.
half the fun,
Twist.
man. It can bang your head against the wall for a while, but when you get the solution, oh, that
Oh
feels
yeah.
good.
Well, I finally got it where I've got a Big Blue is a rail dragster that you
Hmm?
can you can actually drive. I've got grass cutter that's a tractor that's got, you might as well say it's got dual 8-cylinder engines in it, and it's big and beefy, and it's built to go. you know.
Nice.
So I've got those in a couple different worlds. It's in motorcycle too. You can put that one on
Nice.
and wear it like a hat, and then run down a 1/4 mile on that one too. I'd like to invite you there after we're done, or after you're done wherever. So
No, it sounds cool. I like it.
stop in sometime. Y'all are more than invited. It is open to the public, so just have fun. That's what they're there for.
There you go. So, Dimster, I know we got away from the very beginning of talking about your hobbies and how you got into Horizon, and we kind of just
Hmm.
started talking about pretty much everything around how you're here in Horizon. But tell us about your first world that you built and kind of what you learned from it, and did you have any help?
So that's the I think I every single person who ever visits my world, I end up getting help from in some fashion because they always tell me a different perspective that I didn't have. The first world I ever did was actually I made a tribute to the Spirited Away movie, that old anime from
Uh,
big Studio Ghibli. There's
mm-hmm.
been many instances. There was a one gentleman who did a bunch of those ones as well, but it was kind of like my first kind of intro into it because it was one of those things I thought it'd be so cool to see the bathhouse from that movie. So again, trying to build those experiences I would have loved to have seen. So when I built it, it was very much I didn't understand the aspect of world complexity and size. So when I started building it, I was just building it, dropping in objects, what I thought was good, but I didn't consider the cost of the world. So halfway through the world, I'm already filled up, and I'm like, what's going on? Why can't I do any more? And then was trying to understand how I can simplify some of those pieces and make them work a little bit better for what my needs were, and coming up with some basic animations. Also learning about the simple nuance of I hated hand animations as a general rule. I just hated hand animations
Mm-hmm.
because they just didn't do it. And it was one of my earliest animations I built was just a simple rotating animation where it was just watched a bunch of videos from the channel and then like, you know what? This is simple enough. Go in there, play around with it, and all of a sudden I got myself something that just solved my problem. I didn't actually have to do any of this wonky my hand is shaking trying to solve a problem for animation kind of thing. It was a lot easier when you had the script saying go point A to point B. So, but
The
hindsight
other
looking
thing is
back now,
hand
it's
animations. People couldn't see them. So if you were to do a hand animation, I would be looking at it and it would look completely different until we went left edit mode and came back. other
Yep.
times, if you hand animated something, it would completely disappear, even though it was
Yes.
still right there, like the bounding box would show. So hand animation, it was a great like get you started on making things move, but you definitely got to script it. You absolutely
Oh,
have to.
something simple as rotating. You try rotating something, and it's like, and it went over 50 times. That didn't really work that way
Oh yeah.
nicely. So,
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank goodness for scripting.
I tried to hand animate the my UFO and the mountain climber. It was just ridiculous until I got the keyframes. So scripting
Yep,
is definitely the way to
that's a
go for
game changer.
animation. Oh
Yeah,
yes.
I've done some work in the past, like Adobe Acrobat. No, sorry, Adobe Flash. So back when all
Uh,
like online games and stuff like that, they used to do things as what keyframe animations. I was already familiar with that. So hugely powerful when you actually get into that kind of stuff, and it's so simple. I want to go
oh,
point A to point B. There's two objects there. Take the object from here to there. I want to move it over here. You got another one that takes you over there. It's very
as far
powerful. They
as
want to do stuff.
as far as building goes, I'm real old school. I remember Harvard Graphics 3 on the PC,
Ah,
Yeah.
and that was putting together things in a 3D space without actually having the animation or the things like that. Um,
yep.
I've got 42 years in computing, and I built my micro mainframe inside my PC in the computer on Harvard Graphics 3. That's how I come I get into modeling and building in here.
That's awesome.
As fun as it is. You know,
Take
can't
the stuff
script
you've learned and
very
make it
good,
into
but
something better. Yeah, you
yeah,
learn the
but
new
I'm
thing
working
to it.
on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have literally no experience building or scripting. And coming into here, I thought I'm never going to touch the creation tools. I'm never going to build anything, and I'm certainly never going to script anything. And so many people come in here with that same mindset. They're just going to stay as far away as possible because they just don't think they can do it. That the capability just is beyond them. And
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds like you both had building experience before here, but um, was it was it really easy for you to learn, even though I know you have some experience before coming in here? But Briner, I want to ask you, the building tools, did you have to adapt to them much, or was it kind of just like building with building blocks and Legos?
Um, you have to kind of adapt to them as far as the stretchability and the ways to deform the object as opposed to just keeping it the same size and adding more of them. That's the thing I ran into with capacity issues was built a board, and instead of building
Hmm.
one huge board, I built a lot of little squares.
Yeah, that was legit my first world. The exact same problem. Yeah.
Yep. So,
So,
but after I got to me, I'm a pretty intuitive guy, so it came easy to me, and I can teach people how to build objects. That's kind of what I do. And I have fun doing that. Is
nice.
helping people that want to learn how to build start at least getting into the um, aspect of learning and figuring it out. So I like doing that
Oh, it's
too. That's
awesome.
fun.
I know. I do enjoy that too, especially when someone learns how to do it on their own and they, let's be fair, to surpass you and do something you didn't expect is always fun too.
All right.
So,
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Well, you show something somebody that they've been trying to figure out how to do it, and all of a sudden that light bulb goes off in their head, and they see not only what you just did and how to do it, but the five other things that they've been trying to figure out all of a sudden blossom. That's pretty cool too.
the flip the table moment. Jeez, man, that was I. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I've had tons of flip the table moments, tons of confetti moments, but overall, it's been kind of a good mix. It's been something that I was very surprised getting in here, learning these tools, that they're fairly intuitive. But do you think that it's going to stay this way forever? I mean, the scripting, it takes all these code blocks coming out to increase the functionality of these worlds, and I don't know how sustainable it is to just continuously keep throwing out more code blocks. And
No.
we've already seen the meshes coming in, but I mean,
But
what do you
if
think?
you think about it, you're always going to need that stepping stone, that little piece that starts off the whole process, that little block like on the little domino that you hit that knocks over the 3 other dominoes, that knocks over the 10 other dominoes. You're always going to need that point where somebody's new gonna come in and says, "How do I do this?" This is your starting block right here, but then eventually it'll get to be this starting block, but you're gonna skip all of these and jump right to this one. So you'll always
Oh,
have those starting
yeah.
nuances.
I think that's absolutely true, but I do think there is that perspective though where things can also be intimidating though. The worlds are becoming more intimidating to a new person and they feel like they have to do a lot more to get there. 100% I agree with you that the entire point of this is building the things that are relevant to you. But with all these new
Exactly.
worlds and people grouping together and making these very over complicated worlds, which are great experiences, can be very intimidating to the new people coming in. So my hope is that Horizon will end up giving tools to bridge the gap for those people as well. As they start seeing people building these things, which are these amazing experiences, they'll provide the skills or the tools to allow them to make it a little bit easier next time. So that way anyone can do it, not just the crazy geniuses. It can be Joe Blow's first world. Like what was it, a couple tours ago? Like there was that one world, what was it, a 14-year-old did or 11-year-old had a world in here where it was like amazing, and it was way better than any world I ever started with as well. And having anyone be able to build awesome experiences
Mhm.
just by starting is amazing when you can do that too.
Right. I have a friend of mine that is working on a. He didn't even want to get into building, but I showed him a few things, and he's working on a. And I really don't want to mess it up for him, but he's working on a theater production that's just going to be killer.
That's
It's
awesome.
gonna be in like 3 different sets of shows, but it's gonna be killer. It's gonna be something a lot of people are not gonna expect.
It's awesome when people do something like that out of the norm and just that new
And
take an experience which we might have seen or not, and then provide a new perspective on it. I love it. It makes me think of like they have like the Phantom the Opera one, which is in here. The the gentleman who built it actually sang majority of it and actually built animated scenes in it. Like
cool.
it's amazing what people come up with this stuff as
Oh
well.
yes, I'm surprised every day when I go into new worlds. It's every
Yeah.
day they come up with something better and better.
Or the experiences you never thought you were going to ever want to see or ever want to see again. They're equally those ones. We've been to a few of those things before where we were like, oh well, we've seen it once. Let's delete it from our memory forever. They're the ability to express these things to people and be able to have those kind of choices of wanting to see them or not. There's so many different things to see. I like it.
Oh,
Oh,
we got Con-Man at the mic. What's up, Con-Man?
Can you talk about Quest Pro?
Yep. Let's talk about. Can you say it again? What are we talking about?
Quest Pro.
look, what are you
Quest
talking about?
Pro!
He
The
wants to know
Quest
about
Pro.
Quest Pro.
Right?
Look at that
The-
boy.
So is it really $1,500?
We don't know.
I'm not sure.
We're gonna find
We're
out.
in
Aren't you
the
guys
price.
Zuckerberg's little minions?
Nope.
We are.
Not
If
me.
I was
We'll make a
Zuckerberg's
sparkle.
minion, and awesome. I wonder if that was his real voice.
It's not. By the way, there's a bunch of trolls that are hopping between events. Since they've all been captured on video, as soon as they come up to the mic, it makes it easier for me to know you're here. So feel free to come up to the mic and talk in a stupid voice. I'll send you back to your home space. So
That
anyway,
one person's gonna come up here now, and it's their real voice, and be like, "Why did you
oh
kick me?"
no. If it's your
It could
real
happen.
voice, like I don't know, like do this the whole time. I don't know. Give me some kind of a non-verbal so I know it's you. So
Just full
Dimpster,
on.
I want to ask you, I
Yeah.
want to ask you about your Doors world. I have to tell you that was like, it's so like I don't know why it blew me away. I think it's because nostalgia is like king for everything for me.
Oh,
Like there's
I'm building
worlds
in
that
here,
are
man.
just like
Yeah.
yeah, like worlds for me that really bring me back to a moment in time in my life. Like that's something that I find on another level. But when I went into your doors world, what is it called now? I know it's not
Well, there's
Monsters
been
Inc.
two
doors,
versions
but
of it now. There has
yeah, yeah,
been
yeah.
the Monsters Incorporated, which was my first draft, which was my nostalgia and kind of my hub world. And I took that and built it into Doors Incorporated. And
Doors
Doors
Incorporated.
Incorporated is the most recent one where kind of built that into a community kind of perspective where people could put their own worlds in there. So it wasn't just for me, it was for other people. And it was interesting building the like built a computer in there basically where you can actually list out all the worlds, you can walk up to the door, use the new mechanics so you can actually type in a code, bring the door down, it all
Hmm.
animates. It was so much learning in that one, and that thing took me like weeks of work, but being able to have that door come animate out and back down again after entering a code was so much fun. Of that, like, oh god, thank it worked, great. I could sleep
So
now.
how did asset spawning treat you while you were trying to figure it out?
So that was the interesting thing. And so when I first built the world, asset spawning didn't wasn't a thing yet. When I first started it, asset spawning wasn't there. I was building the world in perspective of I was going to have all the doors in there, and I did a bunch of testing to say how many doors can I fit into this world, and it was a lot. I could actually fit quite a few doors in there. But then asset spawning occurred, and I'm like, oh my god, I have rooms for so much more. Instead of just being a blank world, I deleted half of the world out of the experience from compared to the monsters. I was able to say, like, you know what? Now I can put a bunch more stuff in, and the spawning was honestly fine. It was just you had to build your experience to understand that delay of something that needs to come in. There's like it's not there. Wait for it to come in, then you can use it. And I still think I have to this day a request into the user voice to say like there's a way for us to make that even better. Of be able to say on spawn, let us take advantage of it a little bit better and give us more event parameters and stuff. So it was interesting having that aha moment when assets came around where it's like, oh, this could be so much better. So thankfully for me, assets have always been a cool tool, but never been the only answer for the solution. So
Yeah, the asset spawning, I saw a lot of people were struggling with it in Visit 2.0 because things weren't despawning or they were spawning
yep.
partially. Did you find yourself struggling with that with just spawning indoors, or was it pretty simple because it was just spawn a door in, spawn a door out?
Well, for mine, the huge benefit was a lot of the actions which I had with the spawning, I had the spawning occur outside of the actual experience. So the door would spawn
Mm,
in, then you would animate it in, and it wouldn't do anything until it was available. So then it would animate to its final location, and then when you want to despawn it, it would move and go out again. So if it was stuck in the world, you would never see it. So the benefit is you're building the experience around even the glitches as well. So it made it a lot easier.
and every door is an object, so if theoretically you had 1,000 objects left over, you'd be spawning doors and they'd just be
Yeah, it made
stacking
things a lot
over
easier.
outside the
And
world.
the doors themselves were not costly. Like at the beginning I was had the door and the whole frame, so there was a cost to that whole door. But then when it was just I had the frame, one frame in the world, and then just simply put a door inside the frame, and then all it is I'm just spawning in a door. So if it end up taking up 15 doors because people are using the world, it didn't cost me anything. It was like minor because instead of maybe having 200 doors in the world all loaded, it is only the four doors which are being visible at that time, which made it a lot lighter. So,
Yeah.
but I'm certain full on that there are other experiences too, which are not going to have that too. I think it 100% is going to be what you build around those kind of things.
It's interesting to see what people have done with doors because, obviously I always like to talk about with world tours, we were basically
Yeah.
just collecting in the beginning. How many doors can we get? And we scattered them all over the world. And then we said, all right, this sucks. Frame rate is just taking a dump. And we're like, all right, let's spread the doors out. So then we made them wider. So we had this Coliseum type uh, what are they called when we went into a monument? And so the inside of the monument was rode up with doors, and then as you walk by, you just hear the door jingling and the visit world popping in and out all the time. And it was like, all right, the frame rate's okay, but now it's the most annoying place to be, so we need to figure something else out. And then, of course, Lakes came up with the door spawner before door spawning existed, He put an
Yep.
object in a group with the door and then just did move to. And so every time you would cycle through the door, it would move the old one away and bring the new one up. And we were doing that, but you would get like 60 doors and you ran out of capacity. Your entire world was literally just the door spawner. So then he came up
Yeah.
with Tanzer designing the randomizer. So the randomizer wheel was great because it would just grab a door from the list and it would just pop. Let's pull a door, and it was fun. People would literally load into the world, hit that door randomizer, a door would pop up, and they'd go into it. And I was like, all right, well, I guess it works. People loved it, and
It was a cool
from
experience. It was an
there,
early one I had too.
yeah,
You just
and then from there, just trying to get enough doors in the world, we decided let's go back to what we were doing, but be creative with the last tours. We used the hexagon, and I don't know what it was doing, but I was in the world with lakes, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to bring doors in, and we had them all kind of in a blank world waiting. And I had a hexagon, and we were just working on that optimization video, and I'm looking at this hexagon and I'm flipping it around and I'm like, what if we put doors on every face of the hexagon and rotate it? Because you're the math guy, you can figure out what's the rotation, divide it by 6 and make sure that it rotates properly every single time, and you'll just see 3 doors, and that way
mm-hmm.
it's only affecting 3 doors in your face and it doesn't cause the frames to tank. And he comes flying over, he's just scooting his way over with the controllers, and he's looking at it and he's like, give me a second. And he goes up into the clouds and he's typing away, and then he comes back down and he
Stop
plugs in
burning
the
bacon.
script, and he had his he was like, give me a sound for like a stone or something. So he had the sliding stone door or something.
Yeah.
And so he puts this trigger in, he's got everything set up, he goes, all right, watch this, and he hits the button, and it just starts rotating one face at a time. And I'm just like, I don't understand how you do this. Like, it took him a matter of minutes up in the clouds to create an entire script to rotate this hexagon, and then we would just throw doors on it and be done with it. And we saved so much in performance in that world by just having 3 of those hexagons rotating 18 doors at a time, and we were able to save a ton of space from putting just doors littered everywhere.
Yep. Not to mention, it gives a cool interaction. You're building more than just simply here's a door hub. You're building an experience where you actually make people
Mm-hmm.
go use them. Imagine checking stats on that. How often someone was rotating those things just to see what's happening in those things as well.
Oh
Like
man,
that'd be awesome.
achievements cycled
you've
10 times,
you've
Ding.
spun it
100
500
times.
times.
Just go in there at any point in time and they're literally just spinning the hexagon. Like, what are you doing? We're like, 70 more. Like, all
Yep.
right,
It was
have fun.
legit the first thing I always did when I go in there, check out the new worlds, rotate around, see
Yeah.
what's new. I loved
I,
it.
I think we need a space rock that does the same thing. It'll be a hexagon shape, spoiler alert. But we need a space rock that'll tumble through those worlds. Um but that's what I was going to get to about the way that doors have been so creative. We've been kind of just circling around the drain of doors are not the answer. We can't get access to any door we want. We can't put 150 doors in a world. We get to
Mm,
100 and frames start to just tank. We can move them 500 meters below the world, but that's causing dynamic capacity to be eaten up. Asset spawning was okay, but you just have that delay of bringing doors up and down, up and down. And so portals has been the strange answer. Just centering the entire world around portals and then encouraging people to just talk about their world and then take a tour to it has been the most beneficial way of people connecting and being like comfortable with talking and then getting traction to their world, and it's been really surprising. Have you had any
sure.
positive experiences with portals, or have you used them yet?
I've used them with actually most recent tours. Actually, that was one of the first places I actually was experienced. Friend actually showed me one of the first ones. I got back on after my vacation. It was the first thing. I said, "Show me a portal." It's like I needed it like a drug. Like, show me the new thing. But then seeing it at tours, it just became this. It was that experience where couple people got up on stage and all of a sudden there was multiple experiences you can go to at that point, where here are the 2 portals you could choose from and you can go whichever one you want, which made sense to you. The only thing I find that I miss out of having standard doors though is seeing that there's ability to go back to that same place. Once a portal's gone, it's gone. So anyone who didn't bookmark it or had the ability to actually like save it, then you didn't have the ability to go back to that world. It's gone forever at that point. So if you had the ability to say like go to, hide, or save, there'll be a lot better
Mhm.
of experience. Also, you can't see if you want to go find people to work with. You can't see that little green icon saying there's X people in the world as well. That's also the other
Mhm.
social dynamic you lose out of that too. It's great for the experience here to interact with people here, but if you're trying to find those experiences that are popular, you don't have that same option. So I think one of the things tours still gives you is that ability to have a curated experience. It's not just simply here's every single door we ever have. Here is some doors which are relevant now, and here are the reasons for it as well.
It's actually funny you say that because one of the things that we were talking about with the arcade world is that there was a bunch of new games in there. There were tons of worlds that are now easy to cycle through, but there's a big number of worlds that are broken, and it's because they're not, connecting with all of the creators. There were creators that had no idea their doors were in there, including my Street Hoops basketball. I had no idea it was in there until somebody showed it to me,
Hmm.
and I went cycling through worlds, and we actually took a few of those worlds out of tours before we redesigned it because the creator came to me and they were like, "Look, it's completely broken. Don't take people there this week." And we were like, "No problem." So we removed it. And when we went to the arcade that very first week, I was like, "Wow, there's a bunch of worlds in here that we were literally talking to the creator about just the other day that they're broken. You can't even play them." And that's kind of the thing about with tours is that it's always a very personable, curated experience from actual world creators who are, we know them. We've been to their worlds. We've talked with them. We've taken part in understanding a little bit more behind the scenes of what they built, and really understanding like what went into that world as opposed to just a random selection of worlds that we said, hey, go check out these 10 worlds. We did that in the very, very beginning, and we realized that
Yeah.
that was the wrong approach. I mean, we
You can
had
get lost
easy
really
ways to
quickly.
just pull from a list. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You go to one of these big worlds. The first one comes like there's that Bob's one which has all the it looks like the Wizard of Oz, and it's just
Oh,
hallways and
Marks.
hallways. It's Mark's one, yeah, Mark's world tour kind of thing, and but it's a cool experience. It's
Yeah, the
awesome looking,
Creators
and he has
Hub.
a bunch of featured stuff. But at one point, you're just walking down a hallway of doors, and you have a hard time deciding what you're doing. It's not always the best experience. Sometimes that curation really does make a difference.
Yeah, and that Creators Hub was more of kind of thanking the other creators in Horizon for all the help that he's gotten from them and all the experiences that
Mm,
he's had with other creators checking out his world. I think some of my worlds are in there in one part of there, but it was definitely more of a thank you to all the creators. And leading up to the Emerald Castle was the smaller experiences of his other worlds. So I definitely agree,
yeah,
and it's something that even back early on when we had a conversation with Meta about doors, we said there's only 6 doors in the plaza. They had the 3 back in the corner.
yeah.
They had one down below. They had one behind the wall that you had to unlock with the 4 people. And I think there was one more door right before they did the redesign where Arena Clash is now. And we were like, we need more selection. We need more in the menu. We need more doors. We need more choices. And they
Mm.
were like, no, people don't need more choices. If you give them too much, they don't actually know how to use it. It's overwhelming. It doesn't give them a chance to focus. And I'm like, well, I'm going the other way with it. In tours, we've got 120 worlds you can go visit. And they were just like, that's too many. And so the plaza, if you notice, it went down to just the 4 doors
Yep,
until they added in all the other, the launchers competition, the pushing and
yep.
um, hitting examples, venues, arena clash. So it's been more of just kind of an extension of the menu of their own worlds and less featuring other people's worlds until the arcade came.
Oh, they then you have to look at it though. And then they expanded it, and now they added a bunch more abilities to find. Here's the top 100 worlds, or here is the ones where adventure, or you're the ones casual. They've actually given some more of that
Hmm.
layer, and 100% the experiences. They're absolutely right. people want to have something easy to see what's going on, but 100% of the experience is going to be that's great for the new people. But what about the people who are trying to
Hmm.
find things relevant to them? You can't always do that from just a simplified experience. You need to be able to drill down and see that unique, what I want kind of thing. Like that's the entire point. You want to find the content relevant to you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the menu has grown to a point where everything that originally they were against, specifically the top 100, it used to just be most popular world or um,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, trending or popular, but either way,
Trending.
like
Yeah, it was
all
trending.
of the yeah, there was a lot of discussion because they never changed, and it was the same worlds all the time. And so the menu now definitely has a lot of selection. And at least Tours has been able to kind of grow beyond where the menu is because at one
Mm.
point we did have all of those different pillars that had PvP, PvE, exploration, women creators, LGBTQ plus creators, creators of color. We had all different kind of categories, including a what's new, and the menu never had come back to it. They used to have categories, but the problem was intro to my creation world filled every single category because people were just publishing that template world over and over and over again. And
Oh yeah.
so, when tours moved away from categories and just did the what's new and favorites, that's when all of these categories started showing up again. And I'm like, sweet, we got categories. And then when I told him I was like, I've got 104 worlds right now, 104 doors in World Tours, and I want to be able to get access to more doors. I mean, there's a user voice request for that. Just being able to have better ways to discover worlds, searches, because right now it's sorted by last moment edited. So when I go to
Yep.
place a door, it's literally scrolling forever to find anything that hadn't been edited this week. But moving to just using portals and only having a limited number of doors, now the menu is just littered with all kind of worlds. um, but venues is just kind of taking it over, unfortunately. The events tab is like pages of just venues stuff. Have
You know,
you
first and foremost, it's
considered
all that. Yeah.
have you considered all
Mm.
of the venues events that are happening literally live, but all the ones that are coming up? I mean, it's endless advertising.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, those are the paid things. It's the same thing applies to some of the other kind of big things that came in for Worlds. Are like Wendy's as an example. When it came in, it became the prominent thing. Everyone was going to it because that was the first thing they were showing up in their menus, making into that. If people are putting the money in, of course they're going to put that as the first and foremost. It's
Mhm.
the same thing as you go on to Facebook itself. There's still going to be advertising in there. It will always be that. It's kind of the requirement. That's how they get to do what they're doing. Giving us this for free costs something. So of course they're going to promote things that give them the money as well. So I think that's relevant, but also the venues was also still a new thing, and they were trying to give value into this and make people utilize it. The same thing like with events too. When it was first coming out, it was they were trying to figure out how this fit into the overall scope and build that social thing. It's amazing. You can actually in here go to a completely different world and go watch a movie or something like that, or go watch a concert with the same people you're in the same room with. It's awesome to be able to do something like that, but not for everyone. And right now they're still in the kick of it's the thing that everyone wants. It's the new. Please, please go to it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's a much better selection of events now than there were when it was a
When it
separate
first
app.
started,
Like
yeah.
there was a couple of shows that I went to check out. It was okay. The aspect ratio, that 180, that was all like blurry. It was so terrible. I'm glad that it's now much more watchable. Some of them just have the screens that are like 4K, like nice and crisp. But I think that overall people are like there's people who are hosting events that really want to use venues, and I don't know when they're going to open that up to anyone, but there's a lot of people that could benefit from having some kind of a replayed session, something that was like a performance or a comedy show. Like I think those are really good, but I don't think
Yeah.
that there's enough trust in the community yet that if they gave somebody the option to use venues and it just recorded the session and then you had when is the Oculus Pro coming out? Screaming at the microphone. Like,
Wait, I've got to take off for a little bit there, so I may be back.
hey,
You
appreciate
know your own way out, right?
Oh yes.
I thought you
Yeah.
were going to take the secret way out.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Don't tell
actually, I
anybody
was
else the
thinking
secret way.
about getting in here before he came in and just locking the stage so he couldn't get in, but I didn't really want to troll him that bad.
Nice.
I'm on the VIP list, but I appreciate your thought. Speaking of list, this list does not actually work, so I need a better scripter. Can you grab this? Because that would be the icing on the cake if you could grab it. Okay,
Oh,
good.
Jesus.
It's just force
Nope.
releasing. Hoping that would reset it, but it doesn't.
But apparently
No
I don't
worries.
exist either, so,
So
doesn't matter.
yeah, you're not on there. Briner's not on there. It's a fantastic script. I'm just gonna have to look at it. Debug a script that I didn't write. That's the ultimate way I learn is when
Yep.
something's broken, figuring out how to fix it. In my professional life before IT project manager, I was doing net admin stuff, and the company that I worked for had like literally no budget, just unlimited expenses, and we built data centers and just bought the newest everything and the most expensive everything, and doing case studies for
I've done that, yeah.
Microsoft, and it was like nerd heaven. And that's one way that I learned so quickly everything in my net admin role was because they gave us all this stuff that was untested and it was new, and we basically spent our entire time fixing it to get it to work because nothing ever worked properly. And it was like I learned so much more from trying to fix all this broken stuff than actually learning how to use it the right way. And it helped because when it went down, we already knew this is supposed to be working. This service should be started. That one actually isn't even running. This is what we need. Oh, we've got a unregistered DLL that we got to you know import. Whatever it was that broke with it, it was just like nonstop, bug fixing. And then when it came to a point where it was finally stable, they were like, all right, we should probably hire somebody to manage this. And it was like, how? Like, we have all the knowledge to fix this thing. Like, let's just hire somebody else to do help desk and have somebody else do the system admin stuff. And we'll just add it to our NetOps center. So it was like, in here, we've been testing this for like the last year and a
Yep.
half. And we're the experts of this place now because we've spent so much time debugging it. Do you think that there's light at the end of the tunnel? You think that we're going to get away from all of this bug chasing and we'll be able to
No.
just build our worlds again?
There's just going to be a new tunnel. It's just going to be the next tunnel along the way. Like, you see it full well every single day. Like, how many people still don't have portals? Not everyone has them yet. Same thing with the new
Well,
camera. Not
that's
everyone
a
has a new
feature.
camera. But that's the idea, though. There's always going to be the next hurdle. I think it's one thing to say, like, oh, it's was working, then you broke it. Why did you break it? Of course, things like that will happen, and that's because they're trying to optimize and improve the system so everyone can experience it. But that's why also they have feature deployment slowly as well. That's what that's meant for. But there will always be, like, in live systems, it's always going to have a problem. And the fact that they respond so quickly, I think, is like pretty good. I think, like, the moment there's problem where no one can go to the next world or they're problem with the menus within a short amount of time, I'm like usually hours. Like, they've solved and deployed a problem while people are still on the platform. Like, that's a huge testament to them. I know it sucks for our experience at those times, but I think overall it could have definitely be a lot worse. So, but that's my perspective.
Oh, what does a lot worse look like is what I worry about sometimes because a lot worse is always like the benchmark, but it's pretty bad, but it's getting better is what I care about.
100%.
It's getting better.
When was that little while where all of a sudden menus didn't work? But did it stop us? It certainly didn't. We found ways to get to the next world, or we would just have fun in the world that we're in. It's the experience is as good or as bad as you want to make it. Yes, there will be bugs. It's still like expanding and improving, and can't blame them. But the fact that they threw in a bunch of new assets and they have technically been working without any problems, really, has been pretty awesome too. Like, that was a huge game changer for a lot of people for building worlds.
Well, if you have assets spawning some meshes don't load in, so that's
Well,
a problem.
the asset spawning, but just using the assets. They just expanded the asset
yeah.
library drastically. Yeah.
I
No,
agree,
I hear you.
100%. Yeah, without, nothing that's been introduced hasn't come without its own issues, and some of them are very minor, which is great, and they correct them quickly. And that's why I said I got to give them a lot of credit because, like you were saying, getting on there and fixing it within a few hours, especially like the whole platform being down or the menus
Yeah.
being completely unusable. Like a lot of times you would think about this and imagine, 5 years ago, if you had an issue with Windows 10 when it rolled out, printers and drivers and, software compatibilities. It was like everybody defaulted back to Windows XP compatibility or Windows 7 compatibility. And it was like, we're never going to get away from it if we don't just start using it as is. And Microsoft took months and months to fix just those small things. So in here, everything just moves so quickly that people assume if it's down for longer than the time that it took them to complain about it, it's an eternity.
Yep.
And, something that I'm always reminded from, doing support work, there's people behind the scenes, behind this product that are working to fix these bugs. We can be upset, but we should focus it on getting them the details and the information that's valuable to fix it because we're the ones in this platform. We're the ones who are using it every day. And I'm not saying that we should be, free QA or free testers, or we should be beta testing still. But at the same time, if we want to help support this platform and support the people that are building it, at least if we're experiencing the bug, just report it. Just report it. I mean, you
Yep.
might as well. And there's
You're
nothing like
if you're not being a part of the solution, you're just being part of the problem. So, like, take
yeah.
advantage and report something. Otherwise, it's not going to get fixed. People don't report it; it won't be prioritized.
And one thing I want to share, if you hold down all four of your buttons, A, B, X, Y, for 5 seconds, that's the internal bug reporter that they released. I don't know if any of y'all are aware of it, but don't report anything now because there's no bugs here and it's just
Oh,
wasting the people's time who actually are going to fix things. But if you want to test it out, hold down all four of your buttons, A, B, X, Y, for 5, and it'll bring up a menu, uncomfortably close apparently, and it'll allow you to report a bug. And it includes screenshots that you can cycle through, and it goes directly to the teams who are fixing all of these issues, and it'll give them a little clip or a screenshot of what you're seeing, and it'll help them be able to identify what that bug is.
that's cool.
I mean, it's definitely huge. In-world bug reporting is something that people have been asking for a while now, because the old bug reporter was just a text box. It would pop up a text box. You could type whatever you want, and it would go into a list of other complaints, and they would kind of try to be sorted out, or whatever they did
Yeah.
with it. But this gives you a graphical interface to say, "I'm having an issue. This is what's happening. Here's a screenshot," and it sends a recording along with it, similar to reporting somebody. So it's just really great that we get new tools, and they're trying to help us.
No, that's awesome. It doesn't work for me, but that's awesome to know. I got
If
to
you hold
remember
down
that.
all four buttons for 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Yep, mine
Nope.
just popped up. Does it work for anybody else
Coming
out
soon.
there? Anybody else? Worked for that person? Anybody else?
They're all
There's two
reporting
people
me.
who have it. Two people.
It's not
All
working
right.
for
This whole
Dimpster.
time
Report it.
they were like giving thumbs up and they were like confetti and nobody has it. Appreciate y'all's support. Y'all are the best audience ever. Um, as I said, the mic is open if you want to come up here. Trolls, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you're a troll, so you'll get removed. Everybody else, please feel free to come up to the mic if you have questions, anything you want to talk about. Unmute, and of course, leave your party. Appreciate y'all respecting the live recording by going into parties to have your conversation. Y'all are amazing. I appreciate y'all. What's happening?
Yeah. I do like the new assets, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been wanting to be able to do search with my voice, like saying, instead of typing, you
Search
say
what?
it.
Like just worlds?
Yeah.
That'd be
Search
cool.
anything.
I know you can do some of that inside Horizon, not Horizon, in your Oculus text messaging. You can do voice texting, but I don't think they've come out with that inside the world yet. They did toy around with the idea of doing that build bot at one point, where you could use your voice to build a
Oh, yeah.
world. But
Builderbot.
who
Oh
knows
my
when that'll ever come
goodness.
around?
Wow.
But I think that's the entire point of having all the assets. Once you have assets, it's a lot easier for them to do that. But I haven't heard anything about that piece.
I kind of wondered if Builderbot was coming back. I think like if you were to tag your assets, so like big droopy tree, if I said, "Hey Builderbot, give me big droopy tree," it would drop big droopy tree in my world and I could place it. Like I think that that's kind of why that
Wrong asset.
worked in its very very rough form. Just
Yeah.
having asset spawning with being able to voice speak the asset name.
Yep. Well, I think it definitely would. It's the problem where everyone had their own assets. I think is a problem where everyone calls it whatever they want. I want asset 1763. Like it becomes a lot more an oddity
2319.
for it.
Totally missed the
Yep.
opportunity. Mm.
Hmm. I love your little thing there.
Oh, I love it too. Sadie Chan
Your
did an
figure.
amazing job. Yeah, the Metapop. Shout out
I
Sadie
was
Chan.
trying to find them
Amazing
online. I
talent.
want to go find it. You said it on Instagram, right?
Yep, Sadie Chan. SAYDEECHAN. Sadie Chan. Incredible. Got a whole
I can
library
go
of
back.
Metapops out there. Meta Rupert
Nice.
has a boombox. Lakes, of course, has the script block and the setting wheel or whatever the menu. So there's a bunch of them. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. The big gigantic boom box doesn't have holiday eggnog in it. How would I put that in there? Because it's in our musical assets, but I'm learning enough to where the one that we can put in a holiday world like I have, I
Mhm.
don't know if I can put that very same thing in building mode in that green whatever they call it. It's that green clear square. What do they call it?
Mhm. Oh, the trigger?
You're
And
saying the boombox? You mean the one
yeah,
from the
trigger.
asset
Thank
library?
you.
Oh,
And have
okay.
and have it, you know, go through the music, and then holiday eggnog would be there.
Well, if you're
So I
using
think
the
that
asset one, yeah, go ahead, sir.
yeah. No, go ahead. That's what I
Um,
was saying.
if you're using the one from the asset library, what you can do is there's already the pre-existing music. What you just simply do is have to take the one you don't want out. You bring the new one in, and then in this the object, you simply have to relink it. There's some great tutorials online about how to do that as well. Not to mention, if you come to one of the world tours, Lakes is usually there, and he might be able to answer some questions specifically about that as well. That's every Wednesday.
Yeah,
So I
because
would recommend that.
I'd like to put the holiday eggnog in that, because I'm creating a country world, and I noticed that holiday eggnog, I went through all the songs, and holiday eggnog isn't in there. And if you want to just have a holiday party around December, holiday eggnog isn't in there.
No, it's the perfect time of year coming up.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween's first, but soon.
Spooky season wins. Then
Santa's
it's
soon.
holiday time.
Yep. Well, that's cool. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you're not comfortable with scripting. Yeah, come in on Wednesday, ask some links to give you some pointers. Or there's the Creators Academy, or there's lots of learning worlds as well. You could probably check out too, just
Yeah,
to get
I
stepping stones.
also
If you need support, sorry, go ahead.
Mhm. I want to thank everybody for all they do for Horizon. There's some pretty good super builders in here. And
Absolutely.
recently we lost one, and I created a memorial world, and I wasn't going to stop until I got it perfect. And
Nope.
everybody
Yeah.
that loves Tito, that's gonna that's a place for them to go to, anytime they want to talk and stuff and just even sit there. And earlier this morning, a lady helped me she gave me a bunch of wings in there. Now they can go in there and fly,
Nice.
Oh wow.
I
and
appreciate
I
you doing
wanted
that kind
to
of
make
effort.
it perfect for
Yeah.
everybody that loves Tito.
No, it was nice of you. I
And
think it's respectful. Yes.
yeah,
It's
and that's
unfortunate
why I'm
that we lost
dressed
someone.
the way I am in memory of Tito.
Yeah, there's a few.
I was gonna say, shout out to everybody who's been supporting all of Tito's worlds, everything that Tito's done, the impact that Tito had on a lot of the creators. I unfortunately only had a chance to meet Tito once. I've had just some interaction in the Facebook group, but I've seen how the community came together for his passing, and I'm just so grateful that this community just is so supportive of not just those who've lost, but also each other who are going through real pain. I mean, these are friendships that we're creating. These aren't just, hey, Avatar is no longer online anymore, like Xbox Live days. Yep, I haven't seen so and so. Maybe
Yeah.
he moved or lost his internet or his mom took his internet away. But like in here, it's like somebody actually was taken from the community, and that just completely speaks volumes to the people that are in here. So shout out to all of y'all who have been supporting Tito, supporting Tito's world, and who've been putting together some amazing spaces. The Paradise Beach Club, the Paradise Beach Resort, the Memorial World, the headstone that was put together by the creator of Death Coffee. I mean, there's been so much support, events, spaces where you can go and talk if you need any kind of grief counseling. It's just like all of this support is just phenomenal, and I'm just so grateful to be in this community that is looking out for each other. So seriously, shout out to all of y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you. And mine that I created, and I did get some help, and there's some new stuff in there. As of earlier this evening, it's called In Memory. Yep. In loving memory of Tito, and of course his last
Cute.
name. And, I had to do it. I met the gentleman once, and he's a beautiful human being.
No,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
awesome. Thanks for
I'll make
Our
sharing
sure
that,
that
by the
girl
way.
people
put
bookmark that if they
our
get the
girl
chance.
put the wings on my on on the Tito figure, and the Tito figure came from Blubber Nugget. He gave that to me, and that means the world to me that he did that. Now
Awesome.
all I have to do is complete it with the pair of red glasses. There's a memorial with that in it.
That's
And
awesome.
I've got a place
Definitely.
to put them already. It's a purple block with a heart, and
Nice.
that will complete that memorial.
Yeah, if you get a chance,
Nice.
come to tours on Wednesday. Please share that
Drop
world
it.
so that way we can pop up a portal. If y'all can make it, please come on Wednesday. We would love to have y'all. It's 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific every Wednesday. This Wednesday, if Kara, if you show up, we'll definitely give you a chance to get up on stage, talk about the world, and then we'll put up a portal and we'll take a tour there. So come by and see us.
Thank you. Yeah, it was my pleasure. I had to do it. There's so many people that love Tito, and I had to do it. I
Nice.
needed to do it.
Cool.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up and sharing that with us. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thank you for all you do for the community too.
Oh, I do what I can to help. Do what I can to help. Thank you.
Yeah, but you're doing an awful lot. You've got,
Mm.
You take people on tours. You do an awful lot for the community. And I
appreciate
love and
that.
appreciate you too.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I think Jim Gale is blocking. You have to run past him around to get out. 'Cause
Running
there's a
start,
wall there. Yeah,
like linebacker.
just run backwards.
Don't want to bump
Oh boy.
into him.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
Just try and jump and get away from him. Yeah, I wonder if are you on here? Maybe I can send you. Nope, of course not. There's even less people on this list. This list is useless.
You can always
All right.
swap to teleport and use teleport to get past them if you really want to as well.
Yep, that's an option. So if Jim decides to come back and has a question, by all means. Otherwise, if you do have a question, you want to come up on stage, you want to come up to the mic, you want to say anything, would love to have you. Um, but Dimster, we didn't get a chance to really kind of dive into any of your other worlds. I really wanted to talk about Labyrinth, and of course, a little bit more about how Doors Inc. Was kind of the evolution of your Monsters Inc. door and
Yep.
the asset spawning. So Labyrinth. When I first went there, I was really kind of not sure what to expect. I hadn't seen the movie in my entire lifetime, it feels like. And when I went there, I felt like I was teleported back to watching it with my older brother and hoping that I would see, like David Bowie up in up at the castle. Like I really
Spinning some
wanted like
balls. Yeah.
yeah, right. So it was like really, really well done. But tell me about that world build. Like
Yeah, again, one of those things. If anyone ever seen any of my worlds, it's always about the experience and building that kind of nostalgia. That one was interesting because I had this when I started it. All I had was a thought of starting from the beginning, and which was the endless just hallway. And I thought start with something, and just I built that. The maze itself was pretty quick. Like when I built the maze, it was just simply block down, block down, block down, sure, that works. And it just kind of expanded from there. Like every time I went back to edit it, it just was like, what else could I do? What else could I add? Build the castle, and I 100% built the castle with the perspective of when I first come into the labyrinth, I wanted to have that same experience when you watch the movie and see that castle and in the background just hovering over you, and you're walking towards that and build that experience out of it. I thought that was really fun. Like, and again, it was one of those worlds I was hard set up on limits and about what I can do. And it was when I hit the point where I was trying to come up with a cool way of having the end. Because you walk up to this giant castle, which is just primitive objects, and you can't really build a nice experience to walk into it. I was trying to find a nice way to say, here's the end. And that's when I built the staircase room. There's a word for it. There's an old painting, I believe, which was based upon for the movie. But building that simple experience inside there just really just made it into this like adventure you'll go on. But also expanding it past that. Like when I first published the world, majority of the people who went there were not in there for just the go experience the world. They just go through the world really quickly. I put into the world like a level at the very top. So when you finished it, you could walk across the whole
mm-hmm.
world and watch people kind of solve the labyrinth and help them. I would just go back and just help guide people. And it was just people would just hang out. I have no idea why so many people would hang out on top of the bog of eternal stench for a chat session and just have little farting sounds just popping up. But apparently that was a fun thing for everyone to do. But it's amazing what people do for those kind of experiences. So something which was just an adventure turned into a social experience as well, which I thought was really fun too.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't have anybody in there helping me through the swamp. Like I was literally falling through the world thinking to myself, I know this, I can do this, and hopping
Yeah.
straight through the other side. Like having the ability to go up over top of it afterwards. Unfortunately, nobody joined either until when I went to leave, somebody was at the very beginning and just trying to
Yep.
get them to go through the wall. It was like just push along the wall, and they're going like this.
The
Like
entire way
no,
along. It's surprising how many
yeah,
people were just never seen the movie and never had that
yeah,
experience and just didn't know. And that's why purposely, like, the little worm guy is there because if you touch him, he
Hmm.
always says, the door's right behind you. It's not everyone remembers the same things we do. So giving some sort of
Hmm.
hints really does make it more useful. So you have to build not
Yeah.
just for the people who knows it, you have to build to the people who don't. But yeah. Equally, some people never got past the first part of the maze and never saw
Yeah.
the rest of experience, which is I find humorous as well that they missed out half of it. I came across a video someone actually did a review of the world and it just went out there. This was so much fun and they were in like the first part of the maze. They were like, you missed a lot.
It's kind of interesting when people play a world. A lot of times they go in, and as long as they like got as far as they're happy with, that was kind of enough for them. They're like,
Yep.
"Hey, you know what? I got to see this. I'm gonna post some selfies. I'm gonna go somewhere else." It's like finishing the world. Like, how about that? And it was great to be able to experience Labyrinth because there was a lot of detail that went into it that I didn't expect. Um, and just being in there, listening to the music, it really does kind of take you back to, like I said, the nostalgia. Did you um did you worry that putting that music in there was going to be a problem, or was it kind of like you had to have that in order to get that real immersion of feeling like you're in the movie?
I 100% required it. Like to have the experience, I needed it. And to this day, I still wondering whether or not it will ever come down. But I purposely chose music as well when I put it in, where I would put in ones which are like variations of the song. But
Hmm.
for the experience, you kind of absolutely require it. It's David Bowie. You need David Bowie to experience Labyrinth. And I also purposely put it at the very beginning. It's a tribute, and I want people to understand
Yeah.
that if it comes down, it has to be taken down, so be it. But having that for people who do appreciate that, it really does add that extra level to the experience. So at one point, I might be told to, but until then, it gives it something that people like myself can really enjoy. So, and if it does come down, then maybe I'll just simply replace it with karaoke versions and see if that will be fine
There
too.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, when people report worlds now, is it actually getting reported because like something valid's in there, or is it some kind of AI after so many reports just taking a world down or giving people warnings? Like, I see, like, on Facebook, I had an alert from one of my groups I'm in. 5 years ago, somebody had made a comment that went against cybersecurity, so the comment was removed, and I'm like,
No, yeah.
what? 5 years ago? It won't show me the comment either, so I have no idea what it was or even should I be concerned. And it's like, if they're using that kind of scanning software to go through posts from 5, 10 years ago, what are they using in here that might be taking worlds down, taking people
Yeah.
and giving them bans? Like, it's always in the back of my mind because, like, I'll spend all my time in build mode. I'll come to this event, I'll go to Tor's event, and it was literally things like that. And I got removed from the platform for 24 hours, and I don't even know what happened. I still don't know to this day.
It's funny how that stuff works because I had this very same experience. But what I was doing, I was playing around this idea of record, like doing a live stream of my build session, just straight up old school. Watch me build, watch me fail, basically. So I would do a live session. It would be recording and being shown on Facebook as just a live stream. And then afterwards, every single time, I would suddenly show up and like, you got copyrighted. You got copyrighted. And I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook's platform doing the music from Facebook on their own system and like no you got a copyright and it was really odd too because half of them were like I got on one video like 15 different copyrights from different songs at this time it was different song this time was a different song and then you would go back and watch the video and where they were all saying I had copyrighted it was me talking it was legit me just saying words at those points I'm like I must sound like 15 different songs for some reason. I don't know why. But that software can be useful as a tool, but it's not necessarily the solution for everything. They still need to validate these things. And yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
my annoyance
admin
with it.
assist was a good tool for groups. It was definitely helpful, but then they took it a step further. So now all groups that are public, anybody can comment, anybody can, share pictures and start events and polls. And so I can't tell you how many times I've gone into my groups and just redid all of the permissions and stopped people from posting unless they're part of the group, and having post approval turned on. And if people want to participate, because now they're participators, and then turning off anonymous posting, which also blows my mind, anonymous posting. And it was just like so many things that I don't know where the benefits are. And so I worry that we're going to get to that point in here where it's like turning on all these features that I have no idea how to manage that in my own world. Like if we were at the ability for everybody here to just, like, I don't know, turn off scripts, or I don't know, something random. Like
Yeah.
it's just doesn't make sense for a Facebook group. So I know when it comes here, it's going to be more of the same.
Yeah, if you look at anything to do with the permissions of Facebook in any portion, it's thank God it's simple here. It's go to your settings. I got teleport on and off. But I do understand the
Yeah.
nuances, a couple of them. Like the Babel feature, I feel like that's a really cool feature for a lot of people because they don't want to be pressured into different things, or be able to have that boundary, because people get worried about being, like, let's be fair, you can still get claustrophobic in here for some people. So there are those quality of life ones, but then the nuance of saying turn off a script, then you're changing experiences as well.
That just made me think of something, and I'm so
Mm.
glad that you just said it, because I didn't even consider this. So when I'm live streaming, Oculus Stream 410 over here isn't friends with all my guests on the show. So let's say you had garbled voices turned on for non-friends. The
Mm.
entire live stream would be me talking to yum 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 for 4
Was it Charlie
hours.
Brown? Like all the adults, wah wah wah. Yeah,
Right. So now I need to double check for the sound check that the person on stage is actually being heard, because if somebody joins as a guest with garbled voices, I could literally have an entire live stream and not know it if I didn't double check the voices. So, hey,
that's
super.
right, because
Keep that in
it's
mind
different
too
for
if
you.
somebody turns on garbled voices.
Yeah, because if they were your friend, then it would be ungarbled, right? So yeah,
Right. But for the stream, I mean, I don't have any friends on the stream, because it's just when I need to go and get my stream into a world and join on somebody, I don't want to scroll through 100, 200, 500 people. I need to be able to get the stream into another world right away, especially if it crashes, because we've had that in the past. So,
yeah. I don't. You rely on other people to tell you whether or not, like, oh yeah, that's not working. So
so,
yeah, because
so far, no garbled voices out of you, because I can hear
or
you on the stream.
or I could have been garbled the entire time. That's usually how I sound anyway to most of my friends.
That's funny. And the thing is, there's two different garbled voices that I've heard, because one of
Oh
them is
really?
that like weird chewing meow meow noise, and then there's another one, and I don't know how to even make it. But so there's two that I've heard. There might be more. I
I
don't
haven't
think
heard
they're
anyone
like
with a
gender
garble.
specific or anything. Really?
Yeah,
Oh
maybe
man,
maybe it
if you
just
get a
pitch
chance.
shifts your actual voice or something like that. You
Well,
just
it's
end
like
up
the
being
whole time it just literally says yum 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 yum.
that's
Yum
very
yum yum
disturbing.
the whole time. Yeah, it's so weird. But the other one is I don't know what the sound is, because that's the one that's always been stuck in my head. But either way, it was just something that I thought of right then and there when you were talking about garbled voices. I was like, oh crap, I need to make sure that whoever's on stage doesn't have
Yep,
it set up, because literally everything being heard would be garbled voices.
it's
So
like the old mic check, 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 garble, garble.
absolutely. Pernora thanked me, but left. Thanks for the thanks,
Yeah, I got
Pernora,
one too.
wherever you
Thank
are.
you.
Awesome. So Connect. I want to talk to you about Connect, because Connect's
Yes,
coming.
I'm gonna
Things
go
you do
blue.
and don't want to see. Gotta hear it. Gotta hear it.
I want
I'm
to
blue too.
see obviously
New headset.
the next headset. Can't afford it, but I want it. That's the automatic. Obviously plan. I don't know how much they'll give away on plans. They'll probably be very vague on certain things, but I think next headset is the obvious one, because obviously to like creators and stuff like that. Like this thing is great, but there could definitely be improvements, especially when we think about like editing and stuff like that. The more editing I do, the more limitations I hit with the headset, where it would be a lot nicer if you can simply have a little bit more power. I would love to hear about what's coming next. if they can give us some highlights of where they're going to go with some of the features, or understand some more of the social. Because let's be fair, I think it was earlier they were talking about like the home environment and build out this one experience. Having the new Meta account 100% leads us to the mentality of we could just simply have one experience at that point where you simply log in, and then you can actually access your friends, play a game, go to a venue, go to a world, but also,
Followers.
yeah, or also just have your like the apartment was the stepping stone, but having your own starting space, your own that you build, I think would be amazing. Because it's one thing to say I have the floating island, I have the apartment, but having a space which is relevant to you when you first join, I think is a huge starting point, because it'll take you to that. This is your world. Then it's your
Mm-hmm.
experience.
You know, everything that's been released in my memory of this place has been, once it's been released, an entire list of reasons why they hate it and something else. And a lot of times it's justified. It's
Yep.
released and it's not what was asked for or not something that we could use. But with the home space, that's now the personal space that was called the Horizon Home,
Yep.
not confusing at all. Our new personal space for those who have it, um, yeah, it definitely doesn't match like the vibe of most anyone in Horizon Worlds. Like no one
Nope.
would have built that. But
I'm
I
gonna
do
play the
like the
ring
fact,
game.
right.
Yep.
So I do like the fact that it's at least a central hangout spot before you go somewhere. Trying to coordinate while you're already in a world, usually if you're in your lamppost personal space, people couldn't send you invites, and
No.
that was
Yep.
annoying. So you would go to the plaza or go to a world, and as soon as you got there, people would join on you. And so with the home space, at least, you are the only person that can invite people. So I do like the fact that I have a place that I can start and I can invite people to it, organize, get in a party, or just get people together to throw a portal out and just go world hopping.
Yep.
But I think the biggest problem with the personal space now is that it's a space that no one is comfortable in. It doesn't fit what they want. So
Yep.
you have the outside hangout spot with a tree with apples you can collect, a fire, or you go inside and there's a couple couches, or there's an upstairs that has the awkward chairs that are high tops that you stand on. So you're basically like this, standing on your high top chairs in your
Socializing.
kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of little random things that I wish they would have uh, changed with the feedback and then rolled out to the rest of everyone else, and then give people the opportunity to set their own home space. I think
Yep.
that's much more valuable, like you said, because everybody has a home page on their internet browser. Everybody has a home space, a home when they open up their YouTube, if they have a saved favorite, if they have a specific sorting on Reddit of subreddits that they follow. Like everybody has customized their way of viewing their own content. So I think that's something that we really got to push harder on is where is our actual home space? Where should it be? Is it when we turn on our headset and then we're in Horizon in a world, whether it's the apartment that's now in our, as soon as you boot up your headset, or do we get to choose one of our own worlds as our home space? I don't think it
Yep.
should matter
Nope.
because it's just a throwaway world at this point that most people are just traveling out of as soon as they get to it.
Yeah, there's 100% string. Oh, not to mention you do have a mirror, which is kind of nice to see if you're in the look you want. I don't know if it's was something with the PC version or not, but you can actually edit your avatars in Horizon as well, which was a kind of nice change as well, because you just had to jump out of the Horizon just to actually change your avatar.
Distracting, isn't
Oh yeah,
it? you're you're like, oh, we have a mirror in our home
oh yeah.
space. Like
But
the camera is
I feel like
definitely.
100% it could be your like it's a template 100%, and
Hmm.
allow people to modify that template or revert back to it. Like give them a starting point, but don't make it their only choice. Like like the island was made sense. This is your staging part of the world, but the moment they want to do bring people in, you got to make it so it's theirs. So yeah,
Yeah,
go with that. That's what I'd
I
hope. That
agree.
would be great if they announced stuff like that. But I
I
don't know. It's
think
kind of hard to say. What would you want out of this platform? That's a big wish list. Like, what could they announce? Like, connect, which would be amazing. Like there are so many potential points they could expand on. Like earlier we were talking about the pay for stuff, and they've been talking about having a store, and like legit, you open up your menu right now, it says open inventory, and it's not just simply that's available in all worlds. It's not just simply in worlds which have it. So they're obviously stepping stoning towards you bringing your stuff to other worlds. So is that's going to be the next piece? I don't know. Like, what are the other ones they've all just been teasing? Like, we talked earlier about the build bot. Like, is that going to come back or not? More capacity. Like, there's so many wishful things we would want. But I think fundamentally, as long as they're pursuing something and they give us some sort of knowledge about what is upcoming, I think is all that really matters. We're all going to be excited for it anyway. Very rarely you get like, oh, well, that sucked. I didn't want that. It's more along the lines of how soon I need it, like that
Hmm.
headset. Who wants a pro?
Yeah, I think that's gonna steal the show. The headset, even if it's already been leaked and people have already seen what it's gonna look like, I think that's definitely gonna steal the show. People are gonna be
Everyone's going to wait for
scrambling to
that
buy
price
it.
drop. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all they're
and
waiting
if they
for.
don't announce the price, I mean that would be a huge waste. Like I think they will announce it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was all right. We're going to be launching, October 30th or something, and pricing will be available on the Friday before. So stay tuned, follow this website, sign up for updates, whatever it may be. Like I don't think they're going to
Yeah,
go that route. I mean, it's to the point now where it's everyone just wants them to announce the headset, be done with it, and find out how we can order it. Um, I will say that if they go the route of having it on the GameStop, Walmart, and online retailer website to buy,
on the
similar to
event,
like
that'd be
PlayStation,
crazy.
Xbox, bots are gonna ruin it. They're gonna buy every
Oh yeah,
single one of them. So I
but
definitely
it's
plan on
also
getting
one of
one
those things. Would you
regardless.
want to have the first one out the door as well? Like first
Uh, I
round
always
of.
do. I have to. I'd rather it be
I
broken.
need it. I need it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I'll take a broken one. They'll send me a replacement if it's that broken. My
it's
first
true.
Xbox, what was it? The Xbox One, the DVD drive,
Oh yeah,
was grinding, and I was like, "Well, that sucks. Send it back." And then before that, I had the red ring on my Xbox 360, and I was like, "Well, I had the first one. Send it back." But I mean, having the first, being able to play it, being part of that
it's
first
pretty
group of,
awesome.
testing it, it's like it's a great feeling. But at the same time, it's like I could have waited. I mean, I definitely waited when I got this. I didn't pick it up first day. And I don't think that it mattered when I bought it. It was just the fact that I was able to get in here and start community building was could have been then, could have been 6 months later, could have been last week. I'd still be pretty much doing the same thing, looking for the social interaction. That's why I'm here. That's the whole reason why I came to Horizon. When you came
Yeah,
to Horizon, was it more for just building the social, a little bit of both?
I think I came here for just. I think I came in because of the social, because building was not really in the mentality. I just wanted to see what it was like, and just
Hmm.
started hitting experiences, and that's when I started making friends. And yeah, that's. I think that's where I started building because of what we were doing was world hopping, and the more world
Yeah.
hopping that we did, the more of those experiences. Like it'd be so cool if we had this one, or so cool if we had that.
Yeah, the wish list is literally a mile long of things that I used to
Oh yeah,
want when I first got in here because it was like there were so many gaps, there's so many things that were missing, and I was like, I'm gonna focus on the community building aspect because I don't know where to go, I don't know how to find people, and that was kind of where I found my in, and most people were in build mode, so I was world testing, and now you could join and literally do whatever you want. I mean, there's opportunities everywhere. You can
hmm.
world test, you can build, you can learn scripting, you can go and be a DJ, you can be security at front door of somebody's club. You can just come in here and make up a role. There's people who are giving legal advice and financial advice and I mean, all of these
What
different
was it last week?
spaces.
The individual was also the hiring firm.
Yeah, the staffing agencies. I
Yeah,
mean,
that was
there's
pretty
just
awesome.
so much creative ways to represent what you enjoy in this space, and there's no wrong way to do it other than to wait. I me. I think that's the only misstep is waiting. So if any of y'all have business opportunities, don't wait. Just do it now. Just start. Post about it tomorrow. Post pictures. Post all over Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and tag Horizon Worlds. I can't stress enough. Every time somebody tells me, how come I'm not getting noticed? How come my worlds aren't getting seen? How come I'm not getting love from Meta? Post and tag Horizon Worlds. Everybody that's tagged Horizon Worlds, I see in their stories like a day or two later. Horizon Worlds shouted me out. Horizon Worlds shared my picture. Horizon Worlds commented on my post. Oh my God. All you did was tag Horizon Worlds, didn't you? That's it. That's all it took. Oop, my Bluetooth acting up. Um, so I don't want to hold us beyond midnight East Coast. So I do want to ask you, Dimpster, one more
Mm.
question. As far as Vidyuu verification, when you looked at it, I know you said you took the pre-test or whatever,
Yep.
but have you had a chance to go through the assessment yet with Jay, or are you planning on it?
Nope. So when I left off, as I said, I disappeared for the most of the summer just to take some time away and did a bunch of music festivals. But that's where I left off. Was Jay was touching out to me and actually saying, "Hey, let's schedule some time." And now I'm in the point where I need to go back over that list of all the different videos and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
give myself some more knowledge and get myself prepared for it. So that way, when I go into it, I know exactly what I need to do. So but I'm in the neck.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle phase of it right now. Looking
nice.
forward to trying
Yeah,
it.
and the reason I ask is because I've done a few assessments myself, because there'd been such a huge influx of applicants that wanted to get the worlds checked out and people who
Mm,
wanted to take part in some projects that we're working on. And the funny thing was is that even though I'm not like top tier scripter and I'm not the most amazing builder, the rubric that's set up is very specific to what you need in order to show you understand how to do this one thing, and it's through the entire list. And when I was
even the
doing
point
an
value too.
assessment, yeah. The point values are amazing because it tells you how much each thing's worth. And let's say there's a couple things you're just not comfortable with, or it's obvious you don't know how to do it. You can skip those just to at least go and focus on the ones that you are comfortable with to be able to
Mm,
pass and then kind of give yourself a buffer. But I actually did some assessments, and it's amazing how many people have not watched the capacity and optimization video, making things
oh,
non-collidable, going through and getting rid of soft cubes, and replacing a lot of
yeah,
these shapes that are very high geo, and being able to build your world where now you can add a couple players.
yep,
During that exercise of creating that video, I was able to get 6 additional people into Club One. That was mind blowing to me. How many things that were in there that just weren't optimized. And it's helped with these projects because when you have the design of like this entire structure or these individual characters, and then you realize you're now at 350 shapes or objects inside of a character, you're like, oh no, what do I do? Because it's like 12% of your world. And you
yep,
go through and you start finding places where you can optimize without upsetting the structure of the thing. And then you're able to pull back a number of objects to where now you can not only put it in the world, but you have room to continue on detailing the world.
yep.
So the optimization efforts, I don't know if you've had a chance to really watch that video and apply it to your worlds, but have you considered how good you are at optimization and maybe where you could grow that if you think you're good at it, but then going in afterwards after watching that video, like, do you think that there's some things that you just don't know, or you think you're fairly good at optimizing, or where are you
Like
in there?
the legit that video is also, remember I mentioned earlier about the Stranger Things and how I increased the size of the world. Legit that video is
Hmm.
actually what made me go and actually do that, because it all of a sudden
Huh.
he also provided that chart which gave
Yep.
this whole new perspective, because all up to that point it was just oh, I can't talk right now. It was just me assuming different parts of it. Like I thought like hexagons were cheap because they were straight objects, but apparently they were more
Oh.
costly because they had more faces. Spheres, I thought, were the most expensive thing you could probably do, but again, without having that knowledge, so that really did change my perspective. But then even like today alone, just while I was editing, just the understanding of just turning off the collidability. Like you don't realize it when you're actually creating your world that these things do make a difference. But when you're doing large, complex worlds where have a lot of animation, something as simple as turning off collidability, you don't realize the value of getting that until you hit those limits. It's like that
Yep.
first world you build and you hit that object limit really fast. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the first one everyone has that experience with. You hit 100% object requirement. You're like, how do I fit more objects in here? You simplify and you think about new ways of doing it. Take advantage of text objects or doing different ways of putting the objects around. Like there's so many different ways, but that next thing along the lines, complexity or the simulation. How many players are you trying to build for? Can really make a big difference to your world. So I would say that I'm always going to be learning on that, and the experience will always dictate what I need to build against. So if I'm trying to build a 20 plus world for players, I would build something different than if I'm trying to build something with a lot of animation or something like that. It would be a completely different way of building, and I would learn based on what I need to build for that specific world.
The
Then,
the interesting thing is in that documentation that came along with the video, if you look at that graph for
hmm?
player count from 8 players up to I think it's 12 or 15, somewhere in there, it's a sharp jump. And then
Yeah,
everything after that is really like 1 to 2% incremental up to 32 players. And we thought that by getting 32 players from 10, we were going to get all this extra capacity out of it, because now if we were to roll back from 32 to 20, well, that's obviously like 60% more stuff that we get back, right?
yeah,
And it's not the case at all. You're literally rolling back like 8% of your entire capacity, where before it was this massive jump all the way up to 95% of your simulation and animation by having 20 players. When you had 32 players, you have 95%. I think it actually dropped down to like 90 something or 87.
yeah,
Um, you realistically lose all of your initial simulation animation, that first 12 to 15 players, and then from there it's a very small jump. Um, I wonder if that's something that with improvements they'll flatten that curve a little bit to where it's not so drastic, or maybe it's
yeah.
because it's supposed to be that drastic because they're not accounting for the first 4 players in the world. Because if you drop it down to 4 players, everything's zeros. You get
It'd
one
be
zero
interesting if
zero
they do
zero.
that. I think a lot of it also has to do with the learning of how to reuse the same thing, or making so you're not adding the same thing to 20 different things as well. So
Mm-hmm.
just add it to one and let them all utilize that same script as well. There's a lot of things you can do. Like scripting is still, it's always going to be a learning process.
Right. Well, Dempster, I think we should wrap. We're at midnight. I would like you to shout out if there's anyone that you want to shout out that's helped you along the way, anybody who you've collaborated with, people that have inspired you, helped you, whatever it may be. Shout them out to the live stream, and then of course where they can find you.
No, yeah. So I want to thank, like, obviously some of the people in the audience, like Taka, Kate. You guys have been good friends along the way. This has been awesome. You guys have, we've done some cool world hopping. We've definitely found some good and bad things in this place as well, which has been great. I want to thank, obviously, Oculus. Like, doing the tours along with Lakes as well has been awesome, because I find it's really given me the opportunity to also experience more than I would just do it on my own. It's giving, again, it's one thing for us to world hop to our own places that we would feel, but also experiencing the ones that we wouldn't normally think of trying, or giving that new perspective on them as well, which is really nice too as well. I'm in here majority of, like, during the week. I've been doing regular builds for myself. I'm working on a new one right now. I'm currently working on a tribute to Treasure Planet. So some of you might recognize that old cartoon as well. I'm looking forward to putting that one out. Doing a little bit more editing right now. You can find me on Facebook on Horizon. Work on all the Horizon communities as well, under Dipster. Please, if you have any questions or ever wanted just to go explore a world with me, just give me a shout and I'll be more than happy to do it. So, but thanks very much for having me up here. I certainly didn't expect to be up here.
Yeah, that's the best part about this show is that no matter who is out in the audience, everyone has the opportunity to come up here, ask questions, and even join me up on stage. Um, Also, it helps because whenever I have a guest on here that I pre-plan, in the past, it would literally fill up with their friends, and it
Oh,
was something that I saw with so many other shows, and not knocking them whatsoever, but it was for me. I wanted something different. I want people to support the show. I want people to support the format, and of course, support me. And y'all are doing that. So seriously, thank all of y'all. Thank you, everybody on the live stream who watch along. I know that there's people who are watching the stream in headset because if you get a chance, check out on the Vidyuu tutorials channel. It's Netflix and Build, the video that Sensei Jay put together with Jackal Dude on how to literally watch browser window in your headset with Oculus Link.
oh,
So you can
that
watch
was great.
literally Netflix, you can watch YouTube, and it's literally a window that stays on your view while you're building. And so many people have told me that they're actually using that during this show because they get a chance to build, they get a chance to listen into the show, and then when they're done, they'll come join us. So it's really great to know that people are using all of these tips that, Vidyu's put together, Lakes has put together, Sensei J has been putting together, and just the people that have been collaborating with Vidyuu have just all been doing amazing work. So
Yep.
Dimster, appreciate you being on stage with me. Appreciate you coming to
Thanks,
talk
buddy.
for a while. Appreciate everybody here in the audience. We'll close out Super's stream. So make sure you're checking out Super every time he's streaming live. You can see all of his events at the top of the screen. So make sure that you check those out. You can obviously come back here every Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And of course, leave your comments, hit that like, send some stars for Super, and make sure you keep following along. And for everybody following the Vidyuu Nights channel, appreciate y'all hanging with us all night. Make sure you continue showing up every single Sunday. Leave your comments, leave your questions. That way we can ask whoever's on stage with us or join us here in Horizon Worlds. You can join us in World. Make sure that you check the events tab. We'll see every Sunday we'll have this event, or you can check us out on World Tours every Wednesday. I'm Oculus 410. This is Dimpster. Thank you for being on stage with me. This is Horizon Live, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.